Chapter 793. Published at 12th of March 2022 6:18 and 5 seconds AM. Chapter 793. 793. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 793. Their last day. I haven't sweat like this in many years. You have my gratitude, Yuan. Chi-Man said to him after the training ended. I will see you all back here tomorrow. We'll be doing this until it is time for me to leave. Yuan said. Of course. Well, I'll be here until the last minute. Once they returned to their room, Meishio said, I have rested enough. I need to continue to improve my cultivation. Yuan nodded. I also need to practice my chi manipulation so that I can fly. What? Fly? Chu Liuxiang looked at him with wide eyes. Yuan smiled and summoned his Empyrean overlord, showing them that he could fly with it. My God. The ladies stared at him with shocked expressions on their faces. Once you reach Spirit Grandmaster, you'll be able to manipulate your spiritual energy outside your body, allowing you to do things like this. Yuan explained to them. Spirit Grandmaster. Wait, you're a Spirit Grandmaster now? Since when? Chu Liuxiang asked. Since I swallowed the demon core. Oh, right. Too bad that I will probably never reach Spirit Grandmaster in this world. I don't have your talents, nor do I have the resources. Don't lose hope. I'm sure we'll work something out. Yuan said. There may not be enough resources in this world, but there are plenty in. We know that treasures and also affect us in this world as long as they are strong enough. We've tested this before. Once we return home, we'll use the money from Feng Feng to buy treasures to boost our cultivation. Okay. Chu Liuxiang nodded. The following morning, Yuan returned to the training area for another day of training. This would continue for a few more days until it was time for them to return to the Dragon Spiral Mountain. Today will be my last day here, and this is our last training session, so I want you all to give it your all today. Yuan said to the disciples there before starting the training. At the end of the day, the Qi family gathered before Yuan. Thank you for everything, Yuan. Chi-Man bowed to him with clasped hands. The disciples behind him followed his actions and bowed to Yuan. Don't even mention it. The more people that can fight demons out there, the better it is for us. Yuan said with a smile. By the way, before we leave, can I take a look at your techniques? Yuan then asked. Of course. I will take you there. Chi-Man nodded. You guys can go back and pack up. I will be with you later. Yuan said to Meishio and Chu Liuxiang. Okay. They nodded. Sometime later, Chi-Man and Chi-Huan brought Yuan to the building where they stored all of their demon sealing techniques. It's not much, but... Chi-Man pointed to the small stack of scrolls sitting on top of a desk. Yuan approached the desk and began reading through the scrolls. I already know these techniques from the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library. Yuan wasn't too surprised by the results since the Demon Sealing Clan created all of these techniques. You're done already? Chi-Man asked when he noticed Yuan putting the scrolls back down after glancing at them. Yes, I am. Yuan smiled. I guess they're really worthless in your eyes, huh? Chi-Huan couldn't help but sigh. That's not it. I already know these techniques, so there's no point for me to learn them again. What? How is that possible? Where did you learn these techniques? Cultivation online. Chi-Man's eyes widened with shock. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. You mean to tell me that our family's demon sealing technique exists inside a video game? It's more than just a video game, it's what revealed the existence of cultivation to the world. It really makes one wonder who on earth created this game and why. Chi-Man mumbled. I am trying to search for answers myself. Hopefully I will get them soon. Yuan said. As they left the building, Chi-Man said, anyways, if you need anything else from our Qi family, we will do our best to assist you. As for the demons in the Dragon Spiral Mountain, we will continue to prolong their seal until we cannot. Actually, there is one thing I would like. Yuan said, and he continued, can you give me the locations of all of the demons that your family has found? You said there are dozens out there, right? Do you plan on going to these places and dealing with the demons yourself? Chi-Huan couldn't help but ask. No, but it's better to have knowledge than not having any. Chi-Man nodded. All right, I will give you a map of their locations. I'll be ready before you leave. Thank you. Sometime later, Yuan returned to Meishio and Chu Liuxiang. We're fully packed. We can leave whenever. Yuan nodded and he asked, where's the manager? I haven't seen her since you arrived. Now that you mention it, I also haven't seen her. Chu Liuxiang puts on a pondering face. The Qi family should know. I will go ask them. Yuan left the room shortly after to look for the Qi family, and he ran into Qi Feng. Senior Qi, do you know where the manager went? I haven't seen her for almost 2 weeks now. Yuan asked her. She's not in any of our guest rooms, so she can only be on the plane, she said. The plane? For the last 2 weeks? Yuan was speechless. Qi Fang smiled and said, You really know nothing about the manager, huh? She may not look like it, but she's someone who would rather lay around all day and do nothing. Whenever she gets the chance, she will turn into a sloth. She's probably in her room watching television and drinking alcohol from her bed even as we speak. I understand. Thank you for the information. Yuan said. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 794. Published at 13th of March 2022 3:36 and 9 seconds p.m. Chapter 794. 794 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 794. Leaving the Qi family. By the way, when do you guys plan on leaving? Qi Fang suddenly asked him. We plan on leaving before midnight so that we'd make it home by morning tomorrow. Good. The family's preparing a feast for you, so make sure you attend it before you leave. That's all. Qi Fang notified him of a feast before leaving. Yuan returned to Meishio and Chu Liuxiang shortly after. They're throwing a feast for us, so we'll leave after that, he said to them. They nodded. About 2 hours later, Qi Fang returned to tell them that the feast was ready. Yuan and the others followed Qi Fang to this large banquet hall where one side was stacked with tables and chairs and the other side with food. What do you think? This is the least we can do for you before you leave. Qi Man approached him with a smile. The food looks terrific. I can smell them all the way from here. Yuan smiled. You can eat all the food you want. After all, this is your feast. Qi Man laughed. Yuan wasted no time and immediately grabbed a plate. Multiple plates. Since he could use Qi manifestation, he used it to carry over a dozen plates of food without lifting a single finger, which shocked everyone that saw it. Ich, how the hell are you doing that? Qi Fang asked him in a shocked voice. It's Qi manifestation. You can use it too. Yuan raised his eyebrows. What? No, I can't. But I saw you use it. When we first fought. You used Qi manifestation to move the sword. That sword is a treasure, and it has this unique ability that allows it to fly to me when I call for it. I won't be able to do that with other things such as plates. Qi Fang said, leaving Yuan speechless. You can't use Qi manifestation even though you're a spirit grandmaster? I have never even heard of Qi manifestation until today. And even though I am a spirit grandmaster, I only recently reached this level. It wasn't easy and it required almost all of our family's resources. Qi Fang explained. I see. If you want, I can teach you Qi manifestation. But at another time. Yuan then said. It essentially allows you to manifest and control your spiritual energy outside your body, and you can treat it as though it's another part of your body. It's a really convenient skill. You should learn it. Qi Fang swallowed nervously after hearing Yuan's words. No doubt, she really wanted to learn Qi manifestation, especially after seeing what Yuan could achieve with it. There are unlimited possibilities with this ability. You promise? Yes, it's a promise. All right. I will be waiting. Once they were seated, Yuan proceeded to consume all of the food on his plates in a speed that left everyone around him baffled. Fuck, is there something that he's not good at? He's even talented in eating. He reminds me of a certain pink and round character in a certain game. The disciples mumbled to each other as they ate. A few rowdy hours later, Yuan and the two ladies by his side made their way outside the Qi family's headquarters, and the entire Qi family was there to see them off. Yuan, erase the map that you requested. It has the location of the demons on it, at least the ones that we, the three families, know of. Yuan nodded and said, if any of these demons are close to breaking their seal, I want you to let me know immediately. Don't worry, you'll be the first one I call when that happens. Thank you. No, thank you. Qi Man smiled. I will escort them to the plane. Qi Fang suddenly said, willingly volunteering to help. Her grandparents looked at her with funny expressions on their faces. You would have told me to do it anyway, right? Who knows? They laughed. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Let's go. Qi Fang ignored them and said to Yuan's group. Once they arrived at the plane, Qi Fang said, Liuxiang, stay behind for a moment. After Yuan and Meishio entered the plane to wait for her, Qi Fang spoke. I have been your master for how long now? Almost 10 years? I was only 16 years old when I started teaching you. At first, I treated you like a little sister, and even as you grew up, my views did not change. I may be strict at times, but they were for your own good. You're sounding like we'll never meet again. Chu Liuxiang looked at her with a questioning gaze. Qi Fang smiled and said, "You're no longer the immature little girl that I used to know, and you're already a spirit master. I don't think I have anything else to teach you, not to mention that you have an even better teacher than me already by your side." Why Yuan? He's not my teacher. I know he's your partner. Chu Liuxiang nodded with a slightly rosy face. Qi Fang's eyebrows twitched upon seeing her reaction. Then she asked, Have the two of you, already? Done it? Chu Luxiang's face grew even redder as she nodded her head. Looks like you've also surpassed me in some aspects of life. A bittersweet smile appeared on Qi Fang's face. Huh? Chu Liuxiang looked at her with wide eyes. Master, you're still a virgin? How unexpected. I have a very particular taste in men, and I haven't met the right person yet, okay? Do you have a problem with that? And don't call me master anymore. I am letting you go as my disciple. Chu Liuxiang smiled and suddenly lowered her head, bowing to Qi Fang. Thank you for everything, Senior Qi. I also saw you as an elder sister before, I still do even now. Take good care of yourself, okay? And you can just call me Sister Fang. Qi Fang smiled. You too, Sister Fang. Take care of yourself and I hope to see you again soon. The two of them exchanged a quick hug before Chu Liuxiang boarded the plane. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 795. Published at 13th of March 2022 3:36 and 7 seconds p.m. Chapter 795. 795 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 795. Soon after entering the plane, Yuan used his divine sense to look for the manager and sure enough, just like Qi Fang had said, she was lying on her bed with alcohol in one hand and food in another, and she was watching the television. Compared to her image at the Dragon Spiral Mountain, she was like a different person. After snapping out of his surprise, Yuan knocked on her door, which startled her, who was distracted by the television. Manager, we're ready to return to the mountain. Yuan said to her. If you're ready, press the button and fly back already. The plane is fueled up and ready to go. She said to him, not even bothering to leave the bed. Okay. Once Chu Liuxiang entered the plane, Yuan pressed the red button in the cockpit and started the plane. Where's the manager? Chu Liuxiang asked once they were in the air. She's in her room. Yuan said. And he continued, anyways, we have a couple of hours before we return home. Let's cultivate while we are still in the air. For some reason, the spiritual energy up here is far superior. Maybe because it's much purer up here than down there. Chu Liuxiang said. They began cultivating shortly after until morning came and the plane landed. Manager, we've returned home. Yuan knocked on her door when they landed. A few moments later, she came out of the room looking like a professional businesswoman, and nothing about her could suggest that she was a lazy person. They all exited the plane, but when Yuan saw the manager getting into her car, he began having flashbacks of his traumatic experience with her. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get into the car. The manager said to him when he was the only one standing outside. Yuan swallowed nervously and entered the front seat. The moment Yuan felt the car wheels turning, his heartbeat quickened. However, to his surprise, the car didn't move at the speed of light, and the manager was actually driving responsibly. Are you okay? Yuan asked the manager in a worried voice. She turned to look at him and frowned. You think there's something wrong with me? Oh, you're acting weird, he said. Is that so? Then I should probably act normal again, huh? I don't mean. Before Yuan could even finish his sentence, the manager stepped onto the accelerator all the way, and the car immediately sped up. I am sorry if I offended you, manager. Just slow down. Yuan exclaimed. Too late for that. And for the remainder of their journey back to the Dragon Spiral Mountain, they continued at maximum speed, which was over 150 miles per hour. Once they reached the mountain, the manager finally slowed down. We're here. You can get out now, except you. The manager looked at Yuan. You guys can go back first and let the others know that we have returned. Yuan said to Meishio and Chu Liuxiang. Okay. Once they left, the manager drove Yuan to the peak of the mountain. We're going to see the Lord? Yuan asked. What else are we going to do? Watch the scenery? Sometime later they entered the fog on foot until they reached the peak of the mountain. Yuan approached the cave at the center while the manager stayed behind and watched from a distance. How was the Qi family? Did you make any new friends? The Lord's voice resounded from within the cave. Yes, I made a lot, Yuan said. And he continued, you know, you could have at least told me that I was going to kill a demon for them before sending me there. Did I not tell you? I must have forgotten. Yuan frowned and he said, if I cannot trust you now, why would I trust you in the future, when you tell me about cultivation online? The Lord remained silent after hearing Yuan's words. It was just a test, and you passed it flawlessly. Test? What kind of test is that? To see whether you can really kill demons or not, and I wanted to see if you would deal with the demon even though it was not part of our agreement. This shows that you really care about dealing with demons. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Anyways, now that you have returned, safely, can you tell me about what happened at the Qi family? Yuan took a deep breath and recalled his experience there. He spoke about defeating the demon and he spoke about training the Qi family. Interesting. This may seem sudden, but when do you plan on dealing with the demons on the mountain? When? How am I supposed to know? We don't even know when the demons are breaking out of their seal. It shook. The Lord suddenly interrupted. Excuse me? Yuan raised his eyebrow in a questioning manner. The Dragon Spiral Mountain shook 3 days ago, and the crystal is a lot redder. The demons? They're breaking out of their seals soon. Soon? Yuan swallowed nervously. He was confident in handling one demon, but if he had to fight 11 demons at once. I really hope you're ready by then. The Lord said. After a moment of silence, Yuan said, I will. Anyways, if there isn't anything else, I'd like to return home and prepare. You may go. Sometime later, Yuan returned home to find everyone sitting around the diner table. Welcome back, Yuan. We've heard everything already from Meishio. Wang Ming said. Not everything. Yuan shook his head. What do you mean? The mountain shook 3 days ago, right? The demons are close to breaking out of their seal, and I will be transferring the demon sealing techniques to you now so that we can prepare. We can finally learn the demon sealing techniques? Nice. Yes. Get in line, I'm going to transfer the techniques to you guys now. Wang Ming and the others quickly got in line to receive their demon sealing techniques. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 796. Published at 15th of March 2022 11:36 and 22 AM. Chapter 796. 796. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 796. A world outside the 9 heavens. After giving everyone their demon sealing technique, Yuan said to them, we don't have much time before the demons break out of their seal, so we'll need to prepare ourselves. I will begin learning this technique immediately, Wang Ming said. Everyone returned to their rooms shortly after and began training their demon sealing techniques. What are we going to do now, Yuan? Chu Liuxiang asked him. Prepare. I'm going to return to the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library and learn as much about demons as I can. You two should also prepare. Okay. They both nodded. Yuan entered while everyone else practiced their demon sealing techniques. After arriving at the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library, Yuan immediately began looking through manuals about demons to see if he could learn any more weaknesses on demons. However, there wasn't any information that he didn't already know. Why are you studying so hard? You're going to stare a hole in that manual at this rate? A voice suddenly resounded behind Yuan as he was completely absorbed in the manual before him. He turned around to see Yenhara standing behind him with a smile on her face. You could have at least let me know that you were back, she said. Sorry, I just got back today and I am in a bit of a hurry. Hurry? What's the rush? She glanced at the manual in his hands and mumbled, Demons? Little founder, are you in trouble, with demons? She asked him with a frown on her face. Well, where? Yenhara's voice suddenly became serious. I'm sorry, senior, but even if I told you, you wouldn't be able to get there. This is a problem that only I can solve. After a moment of silence, Yenhara spoke, Follow me. But, follow me? She suddenly shouted, causing everyone there to turn and look at them with intrigued gazes. Okay. Yuan placed the manual down and followed Yenhara to a private room. After shutting the door, Yenhara pointed at a chair and said, Sit down. Now tell me about your demon trouble. I don't understand why you'd want to hide this from me, but I want to help you, she said to him. I am telling you, Senior, even if I told you the truth, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it because you won't be able to reach that place with the demons. Yuan sighed. Whether I can help or not, I will decide after I hear your explanation. Yuan sighed, and after a moment of silence he spoke, there are some demons that will be breaking out of their seals soon, and I am preparing so that I can deal with them. Are you insane? Yenhara suddenly exclaimed, and she looked at him with complete disbelief. Little founder. Real demons are nothing like the low-grade artificial demons that you have been fighting. They are a real threat and incredibly dangerous. You cannot try to deal with them by yourself, especially when you're just a spirit lord. Tell me the location of these demons and I will alert the demon sealing clan. They're in a place called Earth. Yuan calmly responded. Yenhara silently stared at him for a good minute before speaking. This is not a joking matter, little founder. If we don't deal with these demons soon, it could spell disaster for the 9 heavens. I'm not joking, and the demons are not located in the 9 heavens. Yuan stared back at her with a serious face. What the hell do you mean they're not in the 9 heavens? Yenhara frowned. Like ID said, they're on a place called Earth, and this place doesn't belong in the 9 heavens. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. And I am well aware of how dangerous demons can be. After all, I have already encountered a few of them. Yenhara's eyes widened with shock after hearing Yuan's confession. Just who are you, little founder? She asked him in a low voice. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you. He sighed. This place. If it's not within the 9 heavens, then it can only be a realm that exists outside of the 9 heavens. I have always heard rumors that such places exist, but there has never been concrete proof. You came from outside the 9 heavens? Yuan smiled upon hearing her somewhat accurate deduction. Something like that, he shrugged. Unbelievable. Yenhara muttered in a flabbergasted voice. Now you understand why you, nor the demon sealing clan could help me, right? I know you're worried, but it's okay, it's not my first time fighting, even killing a demon. After another long moment of silence, Yenhara asked, How? How many demons have you encountered, and killed so far? Yuan pondered for a moment to count. 6 demons? Head killed 4 in the Mystic Realm, 1 in the Jaded Garden, and 1 in the Chi family. 6 demons? Yenhara repeated in a dazed voice. He's killed even more demons than me? How is that possible? He's only a spirit lord. She cried inwardly. She did not want to believe Yuan, but she couldn't see any lies within his clear eyes. I know 6 sounds like a lot, but it's really not, considering how there are dozens of sealed demons that are about to break out of their seals in that world. Yuan sighed. Dozens of sealed demons? Just what kind of world is that? It sounds so ridiculous. Yenhara sighed. And 6 demons is a lot. Do you know how many demons the average demon sealers kill? 0. Freaking 0. I am one of the top demon sealers in my generation, and I have only killed 3 demons, which is already considered a freaking miracle. Of course, this is mostly because demons are pretty much extinct. If not for that fact, I would have killed many more demons. Yuanhara sighed, trying to justify her low kill count compared to his. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 797. Published at 15th of March 2022 11:36 and 19 seconds AM. Chapter 797. 797. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 797. Demons ranking. Anyways, since the demon sealing clan cannot help you with your demon problem, you'll have to deal with it yourself. Since you're already an expert at killing demons and the future divine paragon, I'm sure you'll do fine. Yenhara said. Yuan raised his eyebrows. Just a moment ago she was telling him how dangerous demons are and that he won't be able to handle them by himself. Yet after learning that Head killed twice as many demons as her, she has suddenly become supportive and even confident in his abilities. How confident are you? She suddenly asked him. Not that confident. I want to know the demon's strength until they break out of their seal, and that is my biggest worry. What if I cannot handle the demon? What if the demon is much stronger than me? Yuan sighed. Well, fortunately, most demons that just break out of their seal are at their weakest state, and it would take them days to weeks to recover their strength. Yenhara said. Do you have any suggestions on how I should prepare? Yuan then asked. Since you've already killed 6 demons, you can continue doing whatever you were doing as it clearly works. Also, I know of a way for you to check a demon's strength even if they are sealed. Really? Oh. Yuan's eyes immediately began flickering with excitement. Come with me. Yenhara opened the door and walked him to the open area with the artificial demons. Once there was an available spot, Yenhara took it and sealed the artificial demon before it could even move. Put your hand on this sealed demon and use your spiritual energy to penetrate the seal to analyze the demon's strength. But want that risk unsealing the demon? It'll be fine. If you could unseal a demon so easily, the demon sealing clan would be a laughing stock. Only demon sealing aura could unseal a demon, she said. Yuan nodded and approached the demon before putting his hands on it, feeling its stone-like texture. He closed his eyes next and used his spiritual energy to penetrate through the seal to check the artificial demon, and sure enough he could not only sense the demon's cultivation, he could also sense its heartbeat and blood flow. It works. I can sense their strength. This is great. Thank you, Senior. Yuan said to her with a bright smile. She nodded with a slightly rosy face and she spoke, "Do you have any other questions?" Yuan pondered for a minute before nodding. How can I tell the difference between a low-ranked demon and a superior demon? And I would like to learn more about demon ranking in general. Yenhara nodded. All right. Let's go to the library then. Sometime later, Yuan sat down in the library while Yenhara went to fetch a couple of manuals. When Yenhara returned, she placed the manuals on the table and began lecturing him about demons. There are 6 ranks of demons. From the lowest, lower demon, elite demon, superior demon, demon general, demon emperor, and ancient demon. You can judge a demon's rank by their appearance. Higher-ranking demons will have more unique features and abilities. Their crystals will also be slightly different from each other. Lower demons and elite demons will have a red crystal somewhere on their body while superior demons will have a black crystal. However, demon generals and above do not reveal their crystal so openly, so if you see a demon without their crystal on the outside, there's a very good chance that they are a demon emperor, or even stronger. Something else that differentiates them is their control. A higher-ranking demon can control their emotions and rage much better than those inferior, so they are usually calmer and not as easy to provoke. However, once provoked, they will be multiple times stronger than usual. If you're fighting against a demon general or above, your best chance is to defeat them without provoking them, and you should never openly provoke a demon as that would only fuel their powers even further. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan began sweating cold sweat after hearing Yenhara's advice to not provoke them, as that's what he has been doing to the demons that he fought. He never thought that he was actually making them harder to fight by provoking them. Instead of provoking demons, you should make them scared of you. That is your #1 priority. Once a demon fears you, they will no longer be a threat. That's why the Divine Paragon was undefeated, as all demons feared him to some extent. Make them fear me, huh? Yuan nodded with a serious expression. Here are a few examples of demons at each rank. Yenhara gave him another manual, but there were mostly pictures on this manual. Lower demons look pretty ordinary. Red skin and horns, and they are usually the size of an adult human. Elite demons to demon generals would have special features such as being larger than normal, having a third eye, having wings, and much more. However, demon emperors and above, they can actually lack demon characteristics. What do you mean by that? Yuan asked. It means that they can appear more like humans than actual demons. There have been demons that did not have their signature red skin and horns. Some demons in the past even looked exactly like humans. Rumor has it that these demons still live amongst us humans even today. Yuan was left speechless by this information. Demons that look exactly like humans? Then how are they supposed to tell the difference? Yenhara smiled and said, I know what you're thinking, but the chance of that actually happening is very slim. Even if there are demons living amongst us, they won't do anything stupid to reveal themselves, and with the demonic realm sealed, they are powerless. Although humans were dominated by demons back then, things have changed. We're no longer as weak and vulnerable as our ancestors. We have the knowledge and techniques to fight back against them if they ever dare to return. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 798. Published at 15th of March 2022 11:36 and 18 seconds AM. Chapter 798. 798 If audio player doesn't work, Press stop then play button again. Chapter 798. Demon Sealing Pagoda. Thank you for the lecture, Senior. I learned a lot about demons today. Yuan bowed to her at the end of their lecture. We're not done yet. Yenhara suddenly said. Yuan tilted his head in a questioning manner. Come with me. I'm going to make sure that you're fully prepared to fight the demons. Yenhara then brought Yuan to this tall pagoda. What is this place? He asked her. Demon Sealing Pagoda. You will get to fight real demons inside. Well, sort of. What do you mean by that? They're either real demons or not. They are demons created with spiritual energy, so they're not really real, but they act exactly like real demons, and even their power level is the same, so it'll be like fighting against real demons inside. This treasure was created by the Divine Paragon, and it was used to train the Demon Sealing clan back in the days, but it requires a massive amount of spiritual energy to use, so we eventually stopped using it and started training with artificial demons, which is cheaper. Another reason we stopped using the treasure is because of its difficulty. Most demon sealers nowadays won't be able to pass the first floor, and there are 9 total floors. For the record, I got all the way up to the 4th floor. And you want me to train in this pagoda? Are you sure? It's expensive to use, right? Yuan looked at her. One of many perks of being a lecturer in this place is that we get to use the pagoda for free once every 10 years. Of course, it's not really free since it'll be at the library's expense. Yenhara smiled. What do you think? You want to give it a go? Rumor has it that if you manage to defeat the tower, you'll get to acquire a legendary demon sealing technique that only the Divine Paragon knows. A legendary demon sealing technique? Yuan raised his eyebrows. If that is true, he will be able to acquire this technique even without challenging the pagoda. After all, he was the Divine Paragon. However, he still nodded his head. Yes, I would like to challenge the tower. In the end, he still needed practice. Even if he's the reincarnation of the Divine Paragon, it was not as though he has all of his previous memories and experiences. Alright, give me some time to prepare. I also need to let the library know that I will be using the pagoda. Okay. About half an hour later, Yenhara returned to the pagoda and said, Whenever you're ready. I am ready. Yenhara then retrieved a golden key and used it to unlock the doors to the pagoda. You will get the rules once you are inside. The demons inside will be adjusted to match your power level, so you don't need to worry about being overwhelmed by a demon that you cannot defeat. However, this also means that you won't be able to dominate the demons like you normally do. I understand. Yuan nodded and he opened the door. The moment Yuan entered the pagoda, the door slammed shut, and the pagoda suddenly started trembling with excitement. What is going on? This has never happened before. Yenhara muttered in a dazed voice. Suddenly, an outburst of demon sealing aura exploded from the demon sealing pagoda, sweeping the Grand Library with a massive amount of demon sealing aura. When the demon sealers within the Grand Library felt this ancient and unfathomable demon sealing aura, their bodies began trembling non-stop, almost as though it was reacting to the demon sealing aura. Whose demon sealing aura does this belong to? I have never felt such a powerful demon sealing aura in my life. The lecturers within the Grand Library were shocked speechless by this phenomenon. The entire Grand Library became nervous when this unknown demon sealing aura filled the place. Their initial thought was that a peak demon sealer had appeared within the Grand Library, so they immediately began looking around for the source of this demon sealing aura. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Meanwhile, back at the demon sealing pagoda, Yenhara was staring at the top of the pagoda with a dazed look on her face for some reason. Divine Paragon? She muttered in a low voice. After the powerful demon sealing aura exploded from the pagoda, she noticed a figure had suddenly appeared on top of the pagoda, causing her to look. And to her absolute shock, there was a person hovering directly above the pagoda, and he looked awfully like Yuan, but he was much older and had this irresistible charm around him. I am possible. This must be an illusion caused by the demon sealing pagoda, but why? Divine Paragon? Is that really you? Yenhara spoke to him after snapping out of her daze. The Divine Paragon suddenly looked down at Yenhara and showed her a gentle smile before looking down at the pagoda that was right beneath him with a profound expression on his face. Yenhara's heart nearly exploded into countless pieces from excitement when she saw the Divine Paragon's smile that was directed at her, and it felt like a dream. Eventually, more people began appearing at the demon sealing pagoda after tracking the demon sealing aura. Of course, everyone that saw the Divine Paragon was shocked speechless at first. Why Yenhara? What's going on here? Why is the Divine Paragon here? Tang Jing asked her after he arrived. I have no idea. He suddenly showed up after Yuan entered the demon ceiling pagoda. Yanhara explained. Yuan? Tang Jing turned to look at the pagoda. What in heaven's name is happening? Meanwhile, inside the pagoda, Yuan was currently being told the rules of the pagoda. Of course, the voice belonged to the divine paragon. Welcome to the demon ceiling pagoda, young demon sealer. I will now tell you the rules of this place. If you break any of them, you'll automatically be casted out of this place. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 799. Published at 15th of March 2022 11:36 and 17 seconds AM. Chapter 799. 799 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 799. Superior Demon. First rule: you must defeat the demon before you to challenge the next floor. A demon suddenly appeared on the opposite side of the room. Yuan's eyes widened with shock when he saw that it had a black crystal embedded within chest. A superior demon? Are you kidding me? He muttered in a voice of disbelief. Second rule: you will have an hour to seal or kill the demon. Failure to do so will result in getting kicked out. Third rule: you cannot die while inside the demon ceiling pagoda. If you die inside, you will be transported outside safely, but you will not be able to use the demon ceiling pagoda for 30 days. When you're prepared to start the challenge, say ready out loud. Yuan closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He then summoned the Empyrean Overlord and the Starry Abyss. Ready. Whoosh. The scenery suddenly changes, turning the place into an empty and spacious field. Yuan looked around with a surprised face. Did he get teleported, or was this simply an illusion? However, he didn't have much time to think as the demon started attacking him the moment the scenery changed. Yuan commanded the Starry Abyss to distract the demon, but to his surprise, the demon could sense the invisible Starry Abyss and dodge it perfectly. It's not only a superior demon, but it's also a spirit king. Is this demon really equal to my strength? Yuan cried inwardly. Bloody daggers. The demon suddenly summoned 2 crimson daggers using its blood, wielding it like some sort of edgy assassin. Whoosh. The demon kicked its legs and propelled forward like a bullet, shooting straight at Yuan at a ridiculous speed. The demon closed their distance almost instantly, but Yuan was able to barely react and block the strike. Boom. Yuan was sent flying from the impact. After quickly stabilizing himself, Yuan looked at his arms that were still shaking, and it felt like he'd been struck by a truck, as an ordinary human. This is freaking ridiculous. I need to focus on the fight, or I will not pass the first floor. Yuan quickly cleared his mind and focused on the demon with the obnoxious black crystal on its body. The two of them clashed with each other shortly after, and every time their weapons collided, the world there would seemingly shake a little. Boom. Bang. Clang. They went at each other's throat like animals that have been starving for days, and Yuan used all of his techniques against the demon. Heavenly Domain. Holy pressure suddenly bore down on the demon, but it barely affected its movements if any at all. Seeing that his heavenly domain didn't work on the demon, Yuan used Dragon's Gaze when the time was right. Dragon's Gaze. His eyes began emitting a golden glow that instantly stunned the demon. However, he knew that it wouldn't keep the demon stunned for long, so he quickly used this moment to attack the demon with the demon sealing strike. Normally, he only needed to hit the demon once for it to be sealed, but Yuan didn't want to take any chances, so he continued to swing his sword until he could no longer swing it. Yuan had managed to strike the demon 12 times with the demon sealing strike before the demon snapped out of its daze, but by that time, half of its body was already petrified. Looks like I made the right decision by not stopping. Yuan sighed inwardly when he saw that the demon was still only half sealed despite getting struck 12 times by his powerful demon sealing technique. Compared to the elite demon, this superior demon was far stronger. It was simply in a league of its own, and it took Yuan all of his efforts just to defeat it. Congratulations, you have managed to pass the first floor in 6 minutes. It's a new record. The divine paragon's voice resounded shortly after he sealed the demon, and Yuan was sent back to the pagoda. Here is your reward for clearing the first floor. A golden orb of light suddenly emerged from the wall of the pagoda and floated towards Yuan. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan extended his hands and accepted the golden orb of light. The moment the light touched his palms, it entered his body and disappeared. Yuan suddenly felt an outburst of spiritual energy within his dantian, instantly raising his cultivation by 2 levels, reaching 4th level Spirit Lord. Furthermore, all of his fatigue disappeared, and he felt completely refreshed. You may proceed onto the next floor whenever you're ready. Yuan proceeded onto the 2nd floor through the staircase at the corner of the room. Welcome to the 2nd floor. You have 1 hour and 30 minutes to defeat the demon. Another demon materialized in the pagoda, but there was something different about this demon. The demon did not emit the power of a spirit king. In fact, its cultivation had been lowered to Spirit Lord. However, that was not the only change. This demon. It doesn't have a crystal on its body. This could only mean Demon General. The pagoda reduced its cultivation but increased its rank? It will most likely be as strong as the superior demon in terms of raw strength, but it will also have more techniques and tricks up its sleeves. When you're prepared to start the challenge, say ready out loud. The divine paragon's voice resounded. Ready. Yuan shouted out loud once he prepared himself. The scenery changed again. However, they were no longer in an empty field. Instead, they appeared to be on a platform inside a coliseum, and there were even spectators. Kill that demon. Kill it. The crowd cheered with excitement, their voices filled with passion and anger, causing Yuan's heart to tremble. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 800. Published at 15th of March 2022 1:48 and 9 seconds p.m. Chapter 800. 800 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 800. Demon General, kill it. Kill it. Kill it. The crowd's cheering was so loud that it shook the platform Yuan was standing on, and he swallowed nervously. What a rowdy bunch. Don't you agree, human? A cold voice suddenly resounded. Yuan turned to look at the demon that just spoken. They can speak? The last one remained silent for the whole fight. Yuan thought to himself. Are you a mute or something? The demon raised its eyebrows at Yuan when he didn't respond. If I wanted to have a conversation with a demon, I wouldn't be here. Fair enough. The demon smiled at Yuan's words. Yuan suddenly felt a chill run down his spine, and he instinctively raised the Empyrean Overlord over his head. The very next second, Yuan could feel something heavy slamming into his sword. It was so sudden that it actually brought Yuan to his knees. What the hell is going on? Yuan was baffled by the situation. He could still see the demon standing on the other side of the platform, and there was nothing in front or around him, so what is the demon using to attack him? If I cannot see it with my bare eyes, then I have to use my divine sense. Yuan quickly activated his divine sense and sure enough, he could see a translucent claw on top of him. This is Qi manifestation. He immediately recognized what the demon was doing, but he was still surprised by it. The demon was only a spirit lord just like him, but its Qi manifestation was multiple times stronger than his own. Yuan eventually stood back up and swung his sword, destroying the demon's Qi manifestation. However, the moment Yuan destroyed the invisible claw, the demon summoned another one, then another. Boom. Yuan used his movement technique to dodge the claws. Demons basically have unlimited spiritual energy, so it will be able to continue attacking me until I run out of spiritual energy. I need to think of something. Yuan pondered for a strategy as he continued to dodge the demon's invisible attacks. As for the demon general, it was just standing at the edge of the platform with a calm smile on its face, clearly not planning on dirtying its own hand. Suddenly, an outburst of demon sealing aura exploded from Yuan's body, creating a profound ripple that swept the platform. When the ripple touched the demon general's spiritual energy, it immediately dispersed like smoke. Not bad. The demon general said. I'm not finished. Yuan quickly gathered as much spiritual energy as he could within a second before releasing the heaven-splitting sword strike at the demon. When the demon general saw the heaven-splitting sword strike, its initial thought was to just block it with its body since it could just recover. However, it suddenly sensed a dreadful feeling coming from the heaven-splitting sword strike, forcing it to move from its spot to dodge the strike. The heaven-splitting sword strike barely missed the demon general and crashed into the spectators' area, killing thousands of spectators. Of course, since this was just an illusion, the destroyed areas would restore itself, and the dead spectators would come back to life a few moments later. After dodging the heaven-spitting sword strike, the demon general looked at Yuan with a look of surprise on its face. You Imbued your demon-sealing aura into another technique? Are you really just a spirit lord? Right before he released the heaven-splitting sword strike, Yuan infused some of his demon-sealing aura into the technique, which essentially turned the heaven-splitting sword strike into a demon-sealing technique. Visit Immortal. Me for extra chapters. However, this is a technique that only high-ranking demon sealers learn and not something a mere advanced demon sealer could achieve. It actually worked? Yuan was as surprised as the demon general, as he was only testing his theory. He figured that if demon-sealing aura is what really harms demons, he could probably enhance his regular techniques with his demon-sealing aura, making them demon-sealing techniques. This could essentially turn any technique out there into a demon-sealing technique. However, Yuan was unaware that in order to achieve such a feat, one would normally have to train for hundreds of years, and the reason he was able to do it was due to his past experience. Things are finally starting to get interesting. Entertain me some more, human. The demon general laughed in a chilling manner. Heavenly Domain. Yuan activated Heavenly Domain when the demon started running at him. The demon general's movements suddenly became sluggish, as Yuan had enhanced the Heavenly Domain with his demon-sealing aura. Not bad. Not bad at all. However, you'll need much more than that if you want to defeat me, a demon general. 10,000 Ghost Blades. Yuan activated his newfound technique, cloning the starry abyss until there were 1,000 of them. The demon general was at a loss for words when it was suddenly surrounded by 1,000 daggers that looked identical to each other. Go! Yuan flicked his sleeves, commanding the 1,000-strong army of starry abyss to rain down upon the demon general. Of course, these starry abyss had all been imbued with his demon-sealing aura, so each of these daggers was akin to a demon-sealing technique. The demon general wanted to run, but there was nowhere to run, so it could only defend the attack head-on. The demon general used its chi manifestation and body to deflect the starry abyss. Although it managed to destroy a few dozen starry abyss, the demon general eventually became overwhelmed, especially since Yuan could always make more. Yeah. The demon general released a deafening roar when it realized that it could not defeat Yuan's 1,000 starry abyss, and the very next moment, 1,000 holes opened up in the demon general's body, looking like a porcupine with 1,000 daggers stabbed into its body. Congratulations, you have managed to pass the second floor in 13 minutes. It's a new record. The divine paragon's voice resounded a moment later. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 801. Published at 16th of March 2022 11:24 and 26 seconds AM. Chapter 801. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 801. Quick breakthroughs. Here is your reward for clearing the second stage. The golden orb of light returned, and Yuan quickly absorbed the spiritual energy from it. His cultivation immediately had a breakthrough, reaching the 7th level Spirit Lord from the 4th level Spirit Lord. Plus? Stats plus? Stats plus? Stats: I'm already at the 7th level of Spirit Lord after passing 2 floors, and there are still 7 more floors to go. This place is extremely good for raising one's cultivation base very quickly. Yuan wondered what his cultivation level would be at the end of all this. Sometime later, Yuan climbed to the 3rd floor. Welcome to the 3rd floor. You have 1 hour to defeat the demons. The divine paragon's voice resounded. Wait, demons? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared before him. Of course, they were demons, and they were both demon generals with a cultivation of Spirit Lord. Heavens, I have to fight 2 of them at once now? Yuan swallowed nervously. When you're prepared to start the challenge, say ready out loud. The divine paragon's voice resounded again. Yuan didn't immediately start the challenge and took a moment to mentally prepare himself. This will be his first time fighting 2 demons at once by himself. After taking a deep breath, he spoke, "Ready?" The very next moment, the 2 demon generals rushed at Yuan, attacking him from 2 different directions. 10,000 Ghost Blades. Yuan summoned 1,000 copies of his starry abyss and used those to deal with one of the demons while he personally fought the other demon with the Empyrean Overlord. One would expect Yuan to dominate these demons because of his increased cultivation, but the pagoda increased the strength of the demon to match his strength, so it was just as difficult. Fortunately, Yuan had learned how to infuse his demon-sealing aura with his ordinary techniques, allowing him to fight the demons with more ease. Even though the demons match his strength, that doesn't necessarily mean they're equal, as one's technique and treasures can easily affect the balance. Of course, the demon sealing pagoda also took into account his treasures and techniques, but there is only so much it can gauge, and when it comes to an unfathomable genius like Yuan, not even it could fully measure his full potential. Demon sealing sword strike. Yuan swung the Empyrean Overlord at the demon, but it easily blocked it with its weapon made out of blood. After blocking the attack, the demon tossed the weapon away since it would be sealed by the demon sealing aura. As for the other demon, it was slowly getting sealed by the starry abyss. Although each of the starry abyss lacked the demon sealing aura to seal a demon with one strike, they could easily strike the demon multiple times before it could even react, slowly sealing it. After 30 minutes of fighting back and forth, Yuan eventually managed to seal one of the demons. A mere human. How dare you? Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The demon roared and its body began burning red, almost as though its blood had turned to lava. Its body also grew larger but not by much. Boom. The demon suddenly disappeared from its position, appearing in front of Yuan before throwing a powerful punch at him. This time, Yuan was unable to react fast enough, and he was hit square in the chest by the demon. Whoosh. Yuan's body flew backward like a broken ragdoll, landing many meters away. Shit. Even with all of my defenses, it still hurts like hell. He cried inwardly as he quickly stood back up. If it weren't for the invisible dragon cloak that doubled his defense stats, his body would have probably exploded into a bloody mess. Furthermore, even though the demon was only a spirit lord, it managed to penetrate the invisible dragon cloak's defense that blocks all damage from those below Spirit King. Though this is most likely because the demon general's true strength far surpasses a Spirit King, allowing it to bypass the armor's effects. I am impressed that you survived, human. What is your body made out of? Treasures? The demon general slowly approached him with a malicious grin on its face. After standing back up, Yuan spat out some blood, but his expression remained unfazed. 10,000 ghost blades. Yuan activated his most powerful technique again, sending 1,000 starry abyss at the demon general. However, the demon general merely stood there and allowed the daggers to hit its body. What? Yuan exclaimed inwardly when the daggers shattered on impact while the demon general appeared to be completely fine. The demon general, without even looking at its body, smiled and said, "You'll need to do better than that if you want to penetrate my defense." Yuan frowned as he could feel a sense of dread from this demon general that was clearly stronger than the other demon general. Come entertain me some more, human? The demon general continued to approach Yuan. Seeing this, Yuan commanded the rest of the starry abyss to attack the demon general even if it might seem pointless. It's useless. Ah. The demon general roared with laughter. Yuan tried to focus all of the starry abyss on a single location, hoping that he'd slowly break through the demon general's defense, but it was useless. The demon general suddenly leaped forward and swung its blood weapon, clashing with Yuan's Empyrean Overlord. Give up. You're just a mere human. Humans are born to serve demons. There is no way humans can ever defeat demons. The demon general provoked Yuan as they swung their weapons at each other, causing the surrounding space to shake with every swing. If that was true, you demons wouldn't be facing extinction right now. Yuan clapped back at the demon, leaving it speechless for a moment. Chapter 802. Published at 17th of March 2022 11:09 and 8 seconds AM. Chapter 802. 802. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 802. Assistance 30 minutes left. The divine paragon's voice resounded once Yuan used up half of his time on the third floor. Iche. Yuan breathed heavily, his body covered in sweat. This is the first time that anyone has been able to compete against him so perfectly. No matter what he did, the demon general would always have a response to it. It was at this moment Feng Yuxiang's voice resounded. Young master, would you like some assistance? Yuan responded in a dumbfounded voice as he continued to block the demon general's attacks. He was so absorbed in his situation that had completely forgotten about their existence. What do you mean by help? Well, I am your servant. If you wish, I can help you fight this demon. Of course, I won't be able to defeat it for you since I do not have the capability, but I can definitely stall it for you. Can you even do that? Won't that be cheating? Yuan asked. Young master, do you truly know the relationship between a servant and master? You, young master, own our body and soul the moment we sign the servant contract. In other words, we are your possession. Therefore, we are no different than the soul weapons that you have been using this entire time. What? Yuan was left speechless by this information. This entire time he could have had his servants help him? If that's the case, why couldn't you help me during the stairway to heaven? The stairway to heaven is a special place with special rules. This pagoda, however, doesn't appear to have such rules. There are no forces that prevents me from helping you, at least I don't feel them. And the fact that we were allowed to enter this place with you only further confirms it. After pondering for a moment, Yuan said, "Please help me distract the demon while I prepare for my attack." The next second, Feng Yuxiang came out of his body and flicked her sleeves, instantly engulfing the demon general in flames. However, she was not the only one who appeared, as Xiaohua also decided to show up. She clearly didn't want Feng Yuxiang to get all of the spotlight. "Xiaohua will help Brother Yuan as well," she said. "Okay." Yuan nodded. "Sorry Yuan, but I most likely won't be of any help even if I come out," Lan Yingying said to him. "She was only a spirit grandmaster, so she will most likely only hinder them instead of helping." "It's okay Yingying. We got this." "Ah, what a surprise. This flame, Phoenix's flame. I have never tasted Phoenix blood before." The demon general laughed out loud even as its body was still engulfed in flames. "Distract it for me, I will prepare the heaven-splitting sword strike," Yuan said to them. "Understood." Feng Yuxiang's black hair suddenly turned red, and her eyes glowed golden. Meanwhile, Xiaohua's cultivation base exploded forward. "This is my first time seeing Xiaohua use all of her strength," Yuan thought to himself as Xiaohua summoned a huge sword. Even though she couldn't use sword chi, she could still wield the sword better than many sword masters. While the demon general was still covered in flames, Xiaohua kicked her small feet and flew towards the demon without hesitation before swinging her sword, sending a massive sword light made out of spiritual energy at the demon. Whoosh! The sword light shattered the moment it struck the demon, but the demon wasn't unscathed either as it clearly sustained some damage. However, Xiaohua didn't stop there and released a quick heaven-splitting sword strike at the demon. The ground shook as a massive beam of light swallowed the demon. Although Yuan is stronger than Xiaohua overall, he actually lagged behind Xiaohua in terms of techniques, especially when it came to the heaven-splitting sword strike. The heaven-splitting sword strike managed to destroy half of the demon general, but it quickly began recovering. It was at this moment that Feng Yuxiang released her technique. Burn in hell. With the flick of her sleeves, Feng Yuxiang summoned a large phoenix created from her flames, sending it flying at the demon. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. The heat from the flames were so intense that it slowed the demon's recovery, as the flames would quickly destroy the demon almost as quickly as it healed. "I am ready." It was at this moment that Yuan started swinging the Empyrean Overlord. When Xiaohua and Feng Yuxiang heard his voice, they returned to his body. The following second, Yuan released his heavenly splitting sword strike. Whoosh! Everything in front of Yuan was immediately erased from existence, including the demon general. "Congratulations, you have passed the third floor, in 38 minutes. The divine paragon's voice resounded shortly after. "Thank you Feng Feng and Xiaohua. I might not have defeated the demon general by myself if you didn't help," Yuan said to them afterward. "Young master, we are your weapons and shield. You don't thank your weapons every time you use them, right?" Yuan smiled. "Maybe I should. And don't lower yourself like that. You may be my servants, but you're also my valuable companions. I would never treat you like a tool." Sometime later, the golden orb appeared before Yuan, allowing him to absorb all of its spiritual energy. Ding. 9th level. I will be able to enter Spirit King once I pass the next floor, Yuan mumbled to himself. It's only been an hour since he entered the demon ceiling pagoda and he's already increased his cultivation by almost an entire realm. He could only imagine how far his cultivation base will go after he finishes all 9 floors. However, with the increase in difficulty after every floor, he was a little worried about the future floors. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 803. Published at 17th of March 2022 11:09 and 7 seconds AM. Chapter 803. 803. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 803. Experiencing death after clearing the 3rd floor, Yuan proceeded to make his way to the 4th floor of the demon ceiling pagoda. I had to fight 2 demons at once on the last floor. Will I need to fight 3 at once this time? He wondered to himself as he walked the staircase. Upon entering the fourth floor, Yuan waited for the divine paragon's voice to resound. Welcome to the fourth floor. You have 15 minutes to defeat the demon. The divine paragon's voice resounded a moment later. Only 15 minutes? Yuan exclaimed. He did not expect such drastic changes, going from having an hour to defeat the demon to just 15 minutes. However, he wasn't that worried, especially since he knows that he can rely on Xiaohua and Feng Yuxiang. The scenery suddenly changed from inside the pagoda to this hell-like scenery, where he was surrounded by lava. It looked like he was inside some kind of volcano, but he's never been to such a place before, so he wasn't certain. One thing that he is certain about is that it was immensely hot in that place, with hot air blowing in his face constantly, almost like he was inside an oven. While Yuan looked around for the demon, he suddenly noticed a figure emerging from the lava. This demon had an appearance that Yuan hadn't seen before. Instead of its usual red skin, it had grayish skin this time, and it had a broken horn in its forehead that looked as though it had been cleanly sliced by a sword. As for its crystal, of course it didn't have one. When you're prepared to start the challenge, say ready out loud. The divine paragon's voice resounded when the demon stepped onto the platform. However, before Yuan could even speak, the demon opened its mouth and spoke in a calm but indifferent voice. You're not worthy. Yuan frowned, but not because of the demon's arrogance. There was something about this demon that sent shivers down his back, and his instincts were telling him to avoid it at all cost. But he couldn't just give up without fighting it. He had to at least try. I will be fine with Xiaohua and Feng Feng by my side. Yuan calmed himself down with such words. The next moment he summoned both of them before him. Young master, I am getting a dangerous feeling from that demon. Feng Yuxiang said to him the moment she appeared. Xiaohua agreed with Feng Yuxiang by nodding her head. We got this, Yuan said. Once they were prepared, Yuan spoke out loud, ready? The instant he uttered that word, the demon disappeared from its location before any of them could even make their move. Young master. Brother Yuan. Watch out. Both Feng Yuxiang and Xiaohua suddenly shouted out loud at the same time, their voices filled with despair. However, Yuan couldn't understand why they screamed, at least not until he felt pain in his body. Yuan looked down at his body, and to his absolute surprise, there was an arm sticking out of his body. He turned around to see the demon standing behind him with its arm extended through his body. I told you. You're not worthy. The demon mumbled in a low voice before releasing a massive amount of spiritual energy into Yuan's body, causing his body to explode into countless pieces. When Xiaohua and Feng Yuxiang witnessed this scene, the scene of Yuan's death, their eyes widened with shock. How dare you kill Brother Yuan? Xiaohua suddenly roared, and an outburst of spiritual energy that surpassed the demon's aura erupted from her petite body. Her figure also grew a little taller. At least that was what Feng Yuxiang thought she saw before everything went black for both Xiaohua and Feng Yuxiang. Their vision returned almost instantly, and when it did, they realized that they were no longer inside the pagoda but outside, and Yuan was standing before them with a dazed expression on his face, almost as though his death never happened. Be Brother Yuan. Xiaohua immediately went to embrace him. Xiaohua. What happened? I thought I died just now. Yuan snapped out of his daze when he felt Xiaohua arms wrapped around his waist. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. That's because you didn't actually die. Yin Harris' voice suddenly resounded. Yuan turned to look at her, and to his surprise, a crowd of people that wasn't there before he entered the pagoda was there now. When you die inside the demon ceiling pagoda, you will simply be transported out of the pagoda. She continued. After hearing her words, Yuan recalled one of the rules that mentioned it. I see. So I died to that demon. Yuan mumbled in a dispirited voice. What floor did you die on? Yin Hara then asked. I died on the 4th floor by the hands of that weird-looking demon with gray skin. Yuan explained to her. It was so sudden. I couldn't even see its movements, and when I was aware of the situation I was already dead. The 4th floor? Yin Hara mumbled in a voice of disbelief. Yuan had only been in the demon ceiling pagoda for an hour, and had managed to reach the 4th floor? Even more unbelievable was that had actually reached the 4th floor on his first attempt, something that hasn't been done since ancient times. In fact, it took Yin Hara multiple attempts throughout the span of 1,000 years to reach the 4th floor. Just what in heaven's name was that gray demon? I have never encountered a demon like that one before. Yuan suddenly asked. Yin Hara sighed. That demon is a demon emperor, sort of. What do you mean sort of? Yuan raised his eyebrows. I will tell you later. For now, let's leave this place and go somewhere more private. As you can see, it's a little crowded here. Yuan nodded. By the way, who are those two? They appeared at the same time you left the pagoda, but I didn't see them enter with you. Yanhara pointed at Feng Yuxiang and Xiao Hua, who was still hugging Yuan. They are my companions. I will explain later. Yuan said with a smile. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 804. Published at 17th of March 2022 2:18 and 5 seconds p.m. Chapter 804. 804 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 804. Demon on the 4th floor, W8. Someone there stopped Yuan from leaving with Yanhara. Yuan turned around to see a middle-aged man that he did not recognize and he asked, "What is it? Did anything unusual happen in the demon ceiling pagoda while you were inside?" The middle-aged man asked. Unusual? Yuan raised his eyebrows. How unusual? That was my first time entering the demon ceiling pagoda, so I can't tell you if anything is out of the ordinary even if it happened. If you don't mind, can you give us a brief explanation on your experience inside the pagoda? The middle-aged man continued to ask. Can I ask why you want to know? The middle-aged man then said, because the divine paragon showed up when you entered the demon ceiling pagoda. That has never happened before. What? The divine paragon showed up? Yuan was shocked to hear this. He should be the divine paragon, so how did someone who is supposed to be dead and reincarnated show up? Not the real divine paragon but an illusion of him. He showed up after you entered the pagoda, even releasing this unfathomable demon ceiling aura. However, he disappeared after a few minutes, and only a handful of people were able to witness it. I see. So that's what happened. Unfortunately, I didn't see the divine paragon inside, but I did hear his voice. This is what happened inside. Yuan proceeded to give a brief recollection of his experience within the pagoda to the people there. After hearing Yuan's story, the people there no longer questioned him, as they did not find anything unusual with his experience inside the demon ceiling pagoda. Can I go now? Yuan asked. Why yes. Sorry for bothering you, little founder. The middle-aged man bowed to him in a respectful manner. Although slowly, the people within the demon ceiling clan's grand library were beginning to treat Yuan differently. Perhaps it was due to his uncanny resemblance to the divine paragon, or maybe they were just convinced by his overwhelming talents. These people were beginning to see Yuan as a potential leader of the demon ceiling clan in the future. Sometime later, Yuan followed Yanhara to her personal living quarters. All official lecturers are granted residency within the grand library. Are you okay? You seem off. Yanhara asked him once they sat down. Yuan showed a bittersweet smile before speaking. I experienced my first death today. Even though it wasn't real, it felt real, and the fact that I had been killed by a demon is also real. I have overestimated myself today and put my companions' lives at risk. Fortunately, the demon wasn't real. If we had been facing a real demon outside the pagoda, I would have not only gotten myself killed but my companions as well, and the thought of this really bothers me, Brother Yuan? Xiao Hua, who was still sticking to his body like a slug, mumbled in a low voice. Clearly she was also affected by Yuan's death. Not only did she fail to protect him, but he also died right before her eyes. Xiao Hua promised to protect Brother Yuan, but... She sighed with teary eyes. This is the first time that Yuan has seen Xiao Hua cry with such emotions, and it made his heart sting. If we're all going to blame ourselves, then I blame myself for not being able to protect you, young master. Feng Yuxiang sighed as well. Seeing their depressed state and sensing the gloomy atmosphere, Yanhara spoke out loud, There's no need to blame yourself, all of you. You were up against a demon emperor after all. Let me tell you something. Ever since the disappearance of the divine paragon and the decline of the demon ceiling clan, nobody has been able to pass the 4th floor of the demon ceiling pagoda, and only a handful of demon sealers were able to pass the 3rd floor. Yuan looked at her and asked, You said that it was sort of a demon emperor before. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. That's because the gray-skinned demon isn't truly a demon emperor, but it's so much more powerful than a demon general that we cannot call it a mere demon general. However, a real demon emperor is even more fearsome than the demon on the 4th floor. It's something like a cultivator who is half a step away from entering the next realm. It's at a level that far surpasses anything at the same rank, yet it's not truly at the next rank. Yanhara explained. I see. That makes a lot of sense. But for it to be that powerful when it's not even a true demon emperor, it makes me wonder about the real strength of a true demon emperor. Yuan sighed. Trust me, you don't want to find out. Yanhara smiled. Sometime later, Yanhara focused her gaze on Xiaohua and Feng Yuxiang. By the way, can you explain who they are, and why the little one is emitting the aura of an exile? Yuan's body shook when he heard Yanhara's words. It was also at this moment that he recalled Senior Bei's words, that those from the upper heavens would recognize Xiaohua to be an exile and that exiles are hunted in the upper heavens. Wait. I can explain. Xiaohua isn't a bad exile. Yuan immediately became defensive. Yanhara smiled when she saw this and she said, calm down. Although I am not someone who favors exiles, I am also not someone who would hunt them on sight. Honestly, I couldn't care less. While that may be true, what about all those people at the Demon Ceiling Pagoda? If you can tell that she's an exile, they should also know. Yuan said. Trust me, if they noticed, you wouldn't have been able to leave in one piece. Her exile aura is really weak right now for some reason, and I didn't notice it until we sat down, she explained. Yuan finally calmed down a little after hearing such words. Thankfully, Senior Yen isn't an unreasonable person. He sighed inwardly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 805. Published at 19th of March 2022 9:09 and 23 seconds p.m. Chapter 805. 805 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 805. Not human, she is Xiaohua, and this one over here is Feng Yuxiang. Yuan pointed at them and introduced them to Yanhara. Although they're my servants, I prefer to call them my companions. Yanhara raised her eyebrows and asked, normal servants wouldn't be able to enter the Demon Ceiling Pagoda with you, so they must have signed a contract that binds their soul with your soul. In other words, they are no different than the soul weapons that you carry around with you in your body. That is correct. We are more than just servants. We are his most loyal servants, his weapon and shield. Feng Yuxiang said in a prideful voice. I see. And since she's an exile, you must be participating in the Supreme Heaven's legacy. How troublesome. Yanhara sighed. And she continued, you do know what it means to accept the Supreme Heaven's legacy or the consequences of siding with an exile, right? I do. Yuan immediately nodded with a serious face. If others from the Demon Ceiling clan or the Demon Ceiling Grotto learn that you're helping an exile, it will become immensely more difficult for you to become the next leader, and there's a good chance that you could even get kicked out of the clan. Yanhara sighed. If you're asking me to choose between the Demon Ceiling clan or Xiaohua, I would choose the latter without any hesitation. Yuan quickly said with a resolute face. Let's not get ahead of yourself. A bittersweet smile appeared on Yanhara's face. You might not care about the Demon Ceiling clan, but as your lecturer, I truly want you to become the next leader of the Demon Ceiling clan, and after what happened at the Demon Ceiling Pagoda today, I believe that the Divine Paragon also saw something special within you, hence why he appeared when you entered the pagoda. Once the higher-ups learn of what happened today, they will definitely start paying more attention to you, and they might even outright approach you, so I suggest you keep your little friend hidden for as long as you're inside the Grand Library. I will keep that in mind. Yuan nodded. You should also keep in mind that even if she is hidden in your body, there are people out there that can still see her. If you truly want to keep her safe, you'll need a treasure that blocks all probing, but in order to acquire a treasure powerful enough to block even the most powerful cultivators, it won't be easy. I would help you, but I do not have the capabilities to acquire such a powerful treasure. So okay, I will figure something out. Thank you, Senior, for your help. Yuan said to her. I am your lecturer. I am supposed to help you even if the subject is a little unethical. Yanhara smiled. And she continued while looking directly at Xiaohua. By the way, you should probably go back. Your exile aura is getting stronger. However, Xiaohua immediately refused by shaking her head, and her grasp on Yuan tightened. Seeing this, Yuan patted her head and said, It's okay, Xiaohua. I'm safe in this place. What happened in the Demon Ceiling Pagoda was due to my carelessness. It won't happen again. Damn right you are safe in this place. Who would dare to touch you, who has the face of the Divine Paragon, in this place filled with his admirers and fanatics? That would be a crime punishable by death. Yanhara added. After a moment of silence, Xiaohua nodded her head and reluctantly returned inside Yuan's body. As for Feng Yuxiang, she decided to stay outside for a little longer since she wasn't worried about getting hunted. Yanhara's attention turned to look at Feng Yuxiang now that Xiaohua's presence was gone, and she asked, "You have a unique aura around you. It's like you're human but also not at the same time. What are you?" In response to Yanhara's question, Feng Yuxiang changed her hair to red and her eyes to golden. Yanhara's eyes widened with shock when she realized what she was looking at. "Why, you're a phoenix?" Yanhara muttered in a voice of disbelief. "Is there a problem with that?" Feng Yuxiang said. "Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters." Yanhara swallowed nervously and said, "Phoenixes are some of the most prideful creatures roaming in the 9 heavens alongside dragons. I cannot imagine a creature like that would be willing to become a human servant, binded through your souls, much less." Feng Yuxiang coldly snorted and said, "I am not just the servant of any human. The young master is special. I wouldn't even categorize him as human. He's different from the rest of you humans." Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, "You don't see me as human? I don't mean it like that. You're human, but above a human at the same time, like a celestial being." Feng Yuxiang tried to explain herself. Yanhara couldn't help but let out a chuckle after hearing Feng Yuxiang's words, and she said, "You know, according to some ancient document, after the divine paragon conquered the demonic realm, there were countless divine beasts that would offer themselves to serve him. And yes, this included phoenixes and even dragons. You're truly resembling the divine paragon more and more now, Yuan." The divine paragon was truly someone special. He was a human like the rest of us, but there was something about him that made him stand out from the rest of us. At least this is what some people during his era said. Sometime later, Yanhara asked Yuan, "Do you have any questions for me?" He nodded and spoke, "I want to challenge the demon on the 4th floor again and I want to defeat it. Can you help me?" Yanhara then said, "If you want to challenge the pagoda again, you'll have to wait 30 days, and we'll have to pay for the resources by ourselves this time." "I am fine with that," Yuan said. "Then let me ask you another question. What do you think you need to defeat the demon?" she asked him. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters." Chapter 806. Published at 19th of March 2022 9:09 and 22 seconds p.m. Chapter 806. 806 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 806. Demon Sealing Groups. Well, I'm one level away from reaching Spirit King. If I reach Spirit King perhaps I can. However, Yanhara immediately scoffed at his response. Increasing your cultivation will only help you slightly. In fact, it's the last thing you should worry about in the Demon Sealing Pagoda. Did you already forget? The Demon Sealing Pagoda scales to your cultivation strength, so if you grow stronger so do the demons. After being reminded of this fact, Yuan frowned and asked, "Then what am I supposed to do?" Yanhara smiled and said, "Everything else. The Demon Sealing Pagoda takes into account your cultivation and your talents to a certain extent. However, your experience and techniques do not affect the pagoda. If you want to defeat the demon on the 4th floor and beyond, you'll need to increase your experience and improve on your techniques. Oh, your demon sealing aura will play a huge role as well. Experience? So I just need to fight more demons? Not just fight demons. You need to fight demons much stronger than yourself. I'm sure you can kill 1,000 lower demons at your level with ease, but that won't help you defeat a demon emperor. If you want to improve, you need to push yourself to your limits." Pushing the young master to his limits? It won't be easy, Feng Yuxiang said. Yanhara smiled and said, "I know, that's why I will personally train you. I may not be the strongest cultivator out there, but I am more than enough to show you true despair. Meet me at the Grand Library next week after the tournament." "Tournament?" Yuan raised his eyebrows. "All right. I was going to tell you about it, but the situation with the Demon Sealing Pagoda had distracted me." Yanhara then continued, "In 3 days there will be a tournament for master demon sealers such as myself, and I want you to be there to witness it. You might learn a thing or two about fighting demons." Yuan nodded. "I will be there. Where is it?" "It will be located at the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Coliseum. You won't be able to get there by yourself, so you'll need to be invited." Yanhara retrieved a red medallion and handed it to him afterward. "This will take you to the location. Activate it with your spiritual energy. However, I should warn you that it would be for the best if you don't bring the exile with you, as there will be many powerful cultivators in that place. I understand. Anyways, do you have any more questions for me? Yuan pondered for a moment before asking. You told me to strengthen my demon sealing aura, but how does that work? Do I just need to learn as many demon sealing techniques as possible? Yenhara nodded and she spoke, not just learn them, you need to understand and fully master them. But how can I comprehend a technique that I cannot use? For example, I use the sword mostly, but there are demon sealing techniques for the bow and many other weapons that I have never used before. You don't need to use a technique to master it. The most important thing when it comes to mastering a technique is comprehension. Of course, it would be much easier to comprehend something you understand, but it's not impossible to comprehend something you don't understand at first. It'll just take you much longer. As for using the technique, it would also help you to master a technique much quicker if you practice with it every day than someone who only reads the technique. Yuan then asked, the fastest method to master a technique is to use it constantly, right? Yes. Yenhara nodded. And she continued, in the Grand Library, there is an area that will let you practice your techniques as many times as you want, and there is even a formation in that place that increases your spiritual energy regeneration, allowing you to recover faster and practice more. However, that place is only accessible by elite demon sealers and above. Elite demon sealer. How far away is it from an advanced demon sealer? It's literally your next rank. Yenhara chuckled. Then can I take the examination right away? Well, you'll need at least 3 master demon sealers to witness the examination, but most of them are busy preparing for the tournament, so you'll have to wait until the tournament is over. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. If you want to start practicing now, there is an open area that is accessible by all demon sealers. You can practice there, but you are limited to what techniques you can use, mostly the destructive ones. What about the demon sealing strike? That is fine. Okay, then I want to start my training as soon as possible. Alright, follow me. Before Yuan followed Yenhara outside, Feng Yuxiang turned into a ball of flame and entered Yuan's body. Sometime later, they arrived at this spacious area where it was simply an open area where people could be seen practicing their techniques out in the open. Although this place is meant for demon sealers to practice their demon sealing techniques, it is also a place where demon sealers show off their talents and hope to be recruited into a group. What kind of group? Yuan asked. There are many small groups within the demon sealing clan and the demon sealing grotto. Most of these groups consist of 4 to 5 demon sealers, and they operate as a team to hunt demons. This is great for newcomers and even veteran demon sealers, as popular groups receive more attention and support by the upper echelons. And just for the record, I do not belong to any group, mostly because I like to operate alone. Yenhara said. I see. Anyways, you can practice here for as long as you like. Just make sure you don't forget about the tournament. If you don't show up and I lose, I will blame it on you. Yenhara said to him a moment later. Don't worry, I will definitely be there. Yuan said. Yenhara left the scene shortly after while Yuan found an empty spot in the area and began practicing the demon sealing strike by using it repeatedly, almost as though had become a robot with a single purpose. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 807. Published at 20th of March 2022 7:39 and 11 seconds p.m. Chapter 807. 807 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 807. Wrong decision, demon sealing strike. Yuan swung the Empyrean Overlord with all of his might in the empty air before him, sweeping the area in front with an invisible ripple of demon sealing aura. After that, he pulled the sword back and went for another strike, and he would continue this for 2 whole hours until someone approached him. You're not doing it right. Yuan stopped swinging the sword and turned to look at the handsome man standing beside him. Senior Wan, it was Wan Yu, the lecturer that guided him around the Grand Library on his first day. Something came up so I had to leave this place for a bit. Looks like a lot has happened since then. Wan Yu said with a smile on his face. I cannot believe that I didn't notice it when I first met you, but you truly look like the founder. I also heard that you decided to join the Demon Sealing clan. Can I ask why you chose them instead of the Demon Sealing Grotto? Sorry, but there is just something about the Demon Sealing clan that makes me feel at home. and it feels like it was only natural for me to join them. I see. You don't have to apologize. You're not wrong for choosing one over the other. I mean, it might have been the wrong decision, but you did nothing wrong. I understand why you feel the need to join the Demon Sealing clan. I was once in your shoes, but as I spent more time with them, I realized that the Demon Sealing clan is no longer the brilliance it once was. Without the Divine Paragon, the Demon Sealing clan is just another power, one of countless powers out there. You will realize that soon, and when you do, you know where to find me. I won't give up on you just because you joined them. Wan Yu then pointed at the Empyrean Overlord and said, if your technique doesn't improve after every swing, you're doing something wrong. Don't just swing the sword. You need to understand and comprehend the technique, or your technique will remain the same even 1,000 swings later. Thank you for the advice, Senior, Yuan said to him. We may belong to different powers, but I am still an official lecturer here. Regardless if you are from the Demon Sealing clan or the Demon Sealing Grotto, I have a responsibility to guide you properly. Anyways, good luck. Good work at the Demon Sealing Pagoda. I heard you managed to reach the 4th floor on your first attempt. Wan Yu said to Yuan before leaving the place. After Yuan was alone again, Feng Yuxiang's voice resounded, that man is right, young master. You shouldn't swing your sword just for the sake of swinging it. You must try to understand the technique and improve it as you swing it. Close your eyes and swing the sword. Try to feel it. Once you can feel it, you can start understanding it. Yuan nodded and closed his eyes. After taking a deep but calm breath, he released the Demon Sealing strike. I see. It really feels different than swinging it casually. Yuan thought to himself. Now try to see if you can improve the technique before you swing it again. Feng Yuxiang said. Yuan nodded. A few minutes later, Yuan moved again, swinging the Empyrean Overlord. Although it was only slightly, Feng Yuxiang noticed slight improvement in his movements. That's perfect, young master. You're improving. Thank you, Feng Feng. I think I know what to do now. Yuan said to her, and he continued to practice the Demon Sealing strike. While Yuan practiced his technique, Feng Yuxiang spoke to Xiaohua using spiritual sense. Hey Xiaohua, I have been dying to ask you. When we were inside the Demon Sealing Pagoda, I thought I saw you growing taller. What was that about? What are you talking about, Phoenix? Xiaohua responded in a puzzled voice. You know, when the young master died before us, you got angry and I swear I noticed you growing taller. You must have been seeing things. Xiaohua has no idea what you're talking about. Xiaohua responded in a genuinely puzzled voice. Probably. Feng Yuxiang also began to believe that she was just seeing things because of her shock at the time. A few hours later, Yuan manages to increase the Demon Sealing Strike's master level to 2. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Demon Sealing Strike. Rank, Heaven, Mastery Level, 2. However, Yuan didn't stop his training even after his Demon Sealing Strike reached a new level. In fact, he continued training even harder. He would swing the Empyrean Overlord for the entire day until his arms were sore and his body was soaked in sweat. When the other Demon Sealers at the scene saw how hard he was training, their motivation also grew, allowing them to train harder. At the end of the day, Yuan's Demon Sealing Strike reached Master Level 3, and his Demon Sealing Aura also saw significant growth. I will see you guys tomorrow. Yuan said goodbye to his companions before logging off the game. After logging off, Yuan got off the bed and made his way to the training field behind the mansion to continue his training. Of course, there were already people training in the field way before his arrival. Hey Yuan, how was your day? Wang Ming asked him. It was a difficult day for me. One filled with disappointment. Yuan responded with a bittersweet smile. You want to talk about it? Wang Ming did not expect such a response from him and asked. Yuan chuckled, don't worry, I already have it all sorted out with my lecturer. Lecturer? I will introduce you guys to her in the future. She's an experienced demon sealer in cultivation online. By the way, how's your progress with the demon sealing technique? Yuan asked. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 808. Published at 21st of March 2022 1:57 and 7 seconds p.m. Chapter 808. 808 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 808. Killing two birds with one stone. My progress with the demon sealing strike has been great. I should be able to use it by the end of this week. Wang Ming said. He then pointed in a certain direction and said, Li Jinxi, on the other hand, has been using the technique since yesterday. It won't be long before she masters it. Yuan used his divine sense to watch Li Jinxi, and sure enough, her sword would release demon-sealing aura with every swing. However, the demon-sealing aura is still very weak, too weak to actually seal any demons. Good luck with your training. Yuan said to Wang Ming before walking over to Li Jinxi. Can I help you a bit? Yuan asked her. Li Jinxi stopped swinging the sword and nodded. Yuan walked beside her and gently grabbed her arms before adjusting their position. Once her arms were in the correct position, Yuan moved to adjust her hips, then her legs and lastly her feet. Try swinging your sword now, he said to her. Li Jinxi nodded and swung the large sword in her hand. Whoosh! A strong gust of wind appeared from the swing, and it felt much easier and comfortable for Li Jinxi. Thank you, she said to him afterward. When you practice the technique, you should try to feel and understand it. Someone told me that your technique should improve with every strike, even if it's slightly. Yuan said. I will keep that in mind. Yuan walked to the others and also gave them advice. Eventually he reached Meishio, who was practicing with her bow. Whoosh! Using her black bow that she acquired from the 6 spiritual families, Meishio was able to hit her target 1,000 meters away, and the arrow even managed to hit the tiny red dot in the center. Meishio gracefully lowered her arms after releasing the arrow, and she turned to look at him. Hey, that was quite impressive, Yuan said with a smile. I don't think I have any advice for you, nor am I qualified to lecture you. What do you think of my form? Meishio then asked. I think it was beautiful. What about the demon-sealing aura? Is it strong enough to seal a demon? Unfortunately, you would need to shoot the demon 100 times if you want to seal it, Yuan said. I see. Meishio looked slightly disappointed by the results. Don't look so down. You're doing great for someone who just started learning demon-sealing techniques. Yuan gave her some encouragement. Thank you, Meishio said to him before returning to her training. Yuan decided to let her train in peace and check on Chu Liuxiang next. Ha! As he got close to her, Chu Liuxiang shot her palm forward, sending a wave of demon-sealing aura into the air. What do you think of my demon-sealing pulse? Chu Liuxiang turned to look at him afterward. Your demon-sealing aura is the strongest out of everyone at the moment. This means you have the deepest comprehension of your demon-sealing technique. Good job. Thanks, but I still feel a little lacking with one demon-sealing technique. She sighed. Don't worry, I will acquire more demon-sealing techniques in a few days. Okay. Sometime later, Yuan walked to an empty spot on the field and started his own training. Everyone would train without rest until it was time for dinner. Meishio left an hour earlier than everyone else to prepare for dinner. During dinner, they would talk about their progress with their techniques and things they did in cultivation online. What about you, Yuan? Shi Lang suddenly asked him. Yuan swallowed before responding with a bittersweet smile. I died today. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Clang! Everybody there dropped their utensils when they heard his words, and they turned to look at him with wide eyes. Excuse me? Can you repeat that? I think I misheard you just now. Wang Ming stuttered in a voice of disbelief. I experienced death today. Don't worry, it wasn't real death, so it didn't affect me in the slightest, at least not physically. Yuan explained to them in more detail about his situation. I fought a very powerful demon in the demon-sealing pagoda, where demon sealers go to train in the Grand Library. If you die inside the pagoda, you won't actually die and you will simply be teleported outside. I managed to reach the peak of Spirit Lord after passing 3 out of 9 floors. Good Lord, you're already almost a Spirit King? That's ridiculous. The others were simply speechless. While everyone else was still trying to climb Spirit Warrior, Yuan was already 1 level away from Spirit King. Will they ever close their distance? I am going to train some more tonight after dinner? Wang Bingbing muttered in a low voice. And me too. Shi Lang agreed. Half of the room decided to continue their training after dinner within moments. Sometime after dinner, Yuan returned to his room with Chu Liuxiang. Yuan, darling, now that we've returned home, let's, do it. Chu Liuxiang said as she stared at him with an eager look on her pretty face. And now? You still have energy after training for an entire day? Yuan said in a dumbfounded voice. No matter how exhausted I am, I will always have energy to embrace my love. She chuckled. Yuan showed a slight smile before nodding, but let me clean myself first. My body is still sticky from training. Okay, wait. We can do this inside the bathroom. We can clean ourselves and embrace each other at the same time. That would be killing two birds with one stone, Chu Liuxiang suddenly suggested. Yuan was truly speechless this time. However, he didn't refuse and nodded in silence. Great. They removed their clothes and entered the bathroom together shortly after, spending much more time than usual inside. That was amazing, darling. Chu Liuxiang said to him on the bed about 3 hours later. Good night, Lulu. Yuan said to her with a smile before he walked to the balcony. You're not going to sleep tonight? Yuan summoned the Empyrean overlord before responding. I'm going to practice a little more tonight. You don't need to wait for me. Get some rest. He jumped onto the sword and flew away from their balcony. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 809. Published at 21st of March 2022 1:57 and 5 seconds p.m. Chapter 809. 809 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 809. Max Mastery Level. Good night, darling. Chu Liuxiang mumbled in a low voice after Yuan flew away. She laid on the bed a moment later and quickly fell asleep with a peaceful and satisfied smile on her face. Meanwhile, Yuan flew circles around the Dragon Spiral Mountain on his flying sword in order to practice his chi manifestation. Of course, he would need to rest after every lap around the Dragon Spiral Mountain. After his 9th lap around the Dragon Spiral Mountain, Yuan noticed Mixia's figure from above, and she appeared to be training her movement technique. Yuan decided to stay in the air and watch Meishio dance around with elegance yet precision. A few minutes later, he descended in front of her and said, Don't overwork yourself again, Meishio. She smiled and said, Don't worry, I won't embarrass myself like that again. You know, I have never collapsed like that before, not even when I was worked to the bone by my mother. After a moment of silence, Yuan said, Let's take a break. Meishio raised her eyebrows. Yuan suddenly lowered his body, picked Meishio up and carried her like a princess. He then hopped onto the Empyrean overlord and flew into the air with Meishio still in his arms. Meishio subconsciously hugged Yuan's neck when they flew into the air, which reminded her of their first time flying together. What do you think? Yuan asked her as they hovered above the Dragon Spiral Mountain. It's beautiful. She mumbled in a dazed voice. Meishio, even if you're behind everyone, it's okay. In fact, you could be the weakest person in this world, I would still want you to be by my side, and that will never change no matter what happens. Meishio was in a daze after hearing Yuan's words, and after a moment of silence she showed a bashful smile on her beautiful face. Yuan, you're becoming more cheeky. I fear what might happen in the future. See, cheeky? Yuan was speechless. But kiss me. Meishio suddenly interrupted. Yuan halted whatever he wanted to say and immediately kissed her on the lips. After their kiss, Meishio mumbled in a low voice, Yuan, tonight, can you stay with me? Okay. Yuan nodded without hesitation. He quickly finished his final lap around the Dragon Spiral Mountain before flying Meishio back to her room. They entered her room through the balcony, and once inside, Meishio started kissing him again. After a few minutes of passionate kissing, Meishio removed her clothes and dragged Yuan to the bed, where they started to embrace each other shortly after. Sometime later, Meishio fell asleep in her bed without even bothering to clean up or wear her clothes. Yuan wanted to continue his training after embracing Meishio, but he was simply too tired after being squeezed dry by two beautiful women in the same night, so he just fell asleep in the same bed as Meishio. The following morning, Meishio woke up with her body feeling a little sore. She turned to look at Yuan, who was still sleeping peacefully beside her. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. After staring at his face for a few moments, she left the bed without waking him up and went to take a shower. Once she was fully dressed, she woke Yuan up. It's morning. Once Yuan was awake and dressed, Meishio said, I will go prepare breakfast. Okay. Yuan returned to his room where Chu Liuxiang was still sound asleep. Lulu, it's morning. Yuan decided to wake her up. 5 more minutes. Chu Liuxiang said in a drowsy voice. Sometime later, once breakfast was finished and served, Yuan logged back into Cultivation Online for another day of training. At the end of the day, his Demon Sealing Strike rose another 2 levels, reaching Mastery Level 5, becoming his highest level technique. Near the end of the 3rd day, Yuan suddenly stopped training and took a seat on the ground and closed his eyes. The demon sealers around him quickly noticed the odd aura he was giving off, and when they recognized what was happening, they all stopped their training. The little founder is experiencing enlightenment. When someone is experiencing enlightenment, it was common courtesy for those around that person to stop whatever they were doing so that they wouldn't distract the person having the enlightenment. Furthermore, it was the famous little founder who was experiencing enlightenment. Nobody there wanted to be responsible for distracting Yuan and invoking Yenhara's fury. And for the next few hours, the entire training area was sealed off by the demon sealers so that Yuan could complete his enlightenment in peace. Demon Sealing Strike. Rank, Heaven, Mastery Level, Max. Chapter 8:10. Published at 22nd of March 2022 6:39 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 8:10. 810 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 8:10 Min Li's plans. The following morning, Yuan woke up earlier than usual and left a note for Chu Liuxiang, telling her that he would not be able to eat breakfast with them today because he had important business within. After putting the note on the table beside the bed, Yuan placed the helmet on his head and appeared inside. When he logged on, he could see Min Li sitting at the table by the window inside their hotel. "Good morning," she turned to look at him and said. "Good morning." And she continued, "Yuan, I have finally decided on what I want to do." "What are your plans?" "The 7 Spirit Academies will be starting their disciple examination earlier this year because of the sudden influence of people coming from the lower heavens, and I plan on taking it." "That sounds like a great idea. Do you know which sect you want to join yet?" "My number 1 option would definitely be the Heavenly Academy. They have been ranked 1 for the past 10,000 years, and they have produced over 10 Spirit Kings throughout those years. However, I would be satisfied with joining any of the 7 spiritual academies since they're the best of the best in the spirit heaven, and it's incredibly hard to get accepted into any of these places. Even the Universal Music Academy that focuses on music cultivation is better than many top cultivation sects out there. Do you know when the examinations will take place? I would like to be there for you till the end. It might be a very long time until we see each other again after all." "Yes, it will begin in 2 weeks." "I see. I will definitely be there. What do you plan on doing until then?" "I am going to train near the examination area until then." Yuan pondered for a moment before speaking. "I will leave one of my companions with you just in case anything goes south during your training. Are you okay with that?" "Oh really? You don't have to do that for me," Min Li said. "Yes, I am sure." "Xiaohua, can you stay with Min Li for the time being since it will be dangerous to take you with me to the tournament?" Yuan said to her. Xiaohua appeared beside him the next second with a reluctant look on her face. "Xiaohua doesn't want to leave brother Yuan alone," she said in a worried voice. "You won't be alone. Did you forget about Lan Yingying and myself already?" Feng Yuxiang appeared and said. "Well, take care of the young master while you're away." "But..." Xiaohua was still reluctant to leave you inside. "Listen here, Xiaohua. If you stay with the young master, you'll put him at risk just with your presence alone. Do you want to cause trouble for the young master?" Feng Yuxiang asked with a frown on her face. "No." Xiaohua lowered her head in a dejected manner. "Then you should stop being so selfish and go with Min Li for now. We'll see you again as soon as possible." Seeing Xiaohua's dejected mood, Yuan lowered his body and embraced her small body. "I will be fine, Xiaohua. Not only will Feng Feng and Yingying be there with me, Senior Yan and many powerful demon sealers will be there with me as well. I also want to take you with me, but as Senior Yan mentioned, there will be many powerful figures there that could expose you, and I don't want you to be in danger. In fact, I would even put your safety above my own, so can you stay with Min Li for the time being? When I return, we can play catch again like we used to." Xiaohua immediately lifted her head and stared at him with her big round eyes that were filled with emotion, mostly excitement. "Really?" Yuan nodded. "I promise." "Okay, Xiaohua will go with her." "Great. Then we'll see you two later." After saying their goodbyes, Yuan left the hotel with Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying. They flew until they were a few miles away from the city. Senior Yin said, "I only need my spiritual energy to activate it." Yuan retrieved the red medallion Yenhara had given him and started pouring his spiritual energy into it. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Immediately, the red medallion began emitting a bright crimson light. A few seconds later, the red medallion shattered into countless pieces, dumbfounding Yuan. Did I break it?" He swallowed nervously. "No, it's activating right now, young master," Feng Yuxiang said to him. The very next moment, a beautiful red portal would appear before Yuan. Once the portal was fully activated, Feng Yuxiang said, "You can go inside now, young master. I don't sense anything malicious from it, so it should be okay." Okay. Yuan nodded, but before he entered the portal, he retrieved a mask and wore it. Since he looked exactly like the divine paragon, there would be no doubt that someone there would recognize him, and he didn't want such a spotlight on him when he's surrounded by so many cultivators that were countless times stronger than him. After all, he didn't know if the divine paragon had any enemies before, nor did he want to find out, so he decided to play it safe. When he exited the portal, Yuan was greeted by a starry sky and a massive circular building a few miles in the distance. "Just where are we?" Yuan mumbled in a dazed voice as he looked around with great interest. "It feels like we're in someone's dimension," Feng Yuxiang said. "Like Senior Bei's own world?" Yuan asked. "Yes, just like that." While Yuan admired the scenery that made him feel like he was in space, other people would appear around him. These people would glance at Yuan for a brief moment before scoffing and flying away, treating his existence as though it was insignificant. "Young master, you should definitely keep your head down here. Even spirit sovereigns would look like an ant before these people," Feng Yuxiang warned him afterward. He nodded silently. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters." Chapter 811. Published at 23rd of March 2022 2:36 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 811. 811. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 811. Grand Colosseum. Once he had enough of the scenery, Yuan began making his way towards the large circular building in the distance. While everyone else flew, Yuan used his legs and walked toward his destination. Feng, is there a reason why my spiritual energy isn't stable in this place? This happened when I was teleported to the fifth heaven as well. Yuan decided to ask Feng Yuxiang. That's because you're not used to the atmosphere of this place, young master. The spiritual energy in this place far surpasses anything you've experienced before, and your body needs time to adjust to it, hence why you cannot use your spiritual energy, not to mention your low cultivation base. Low cultivation base? But I am almost a spirit king. Yuan raised his eyebrows. How can a spirit king be considered having a low cultivation? Being spirit king may be an impressive feat in the lower heavens, but in the upper heavens, it is worthless, and you're no different than a spirit warrior in the lower heaven as a spirit king in the upper heavens. Heavens? Why is the cultivation path so long? It's not just long, young master, it's never-ending. Even if you reach the highest known cultivation level, there will always be more levels above that. It is only a matter of who would discover it. Is that so? Just as Yuan was about to ask a question, he was interrupted by a gust of wind. Yuan looked up to see a beautiful woman floating right above him. "Looks like you really came," Yin Hara said to him with a smile. "Of course." Yuan nodded. "I hope you'll enjoy the show. I should probably warn you before it starts, you should brace yourself. I wanted you to come here not only to watch the tournament but also to train you." "Train me?" Yuan asked. "You'll understand soon. Don't lose consciousness or you'll miss the whole thing." Yin Hara winked at him before flying towards the building in front of them. Yuan swallowed nervously after hearing Yin Hara's words, and he wondered what she was talking about as he approached the building. Once he reached the entrance, he was stopped by a middle-aged man casually sitting by the entrance who asked him, "Do you have a pass to get in?" Yuan showed a puzzled face behind his mask. "You know, the red medallion you used to come to this place," the middle-aged man explained. Yuan's eyes widened and he quickly said, "That was also a pass. But mine broke the moment I activated it." "That's unfortunate. Looks like you cannot enter without a pass." The middle-aged man shook his head. Yuan was speechless. However, before he could say anything else, the middle-aged man suddenly burst out laughing and said, "I am only joking with you, kiddo. Who brought you here? It's really uncommon for cultivators of your level to show up for this event." "Really? Is there a reason why?" Yuan then asked. "What? Obviously because they cannot handle it. The demon's killing intent, of course. What else?" "I see. So? Who brought you here? That person must be a sadist or confident in your abilities to bring you here." "Senior Yin," Yuan said. Yin Hara? She actually brought you here?" The middle-aged man expressed surprise after hearing her name. That woman is definitely a sadist. You should watch out, kiddo. He said after a moment of silence. I will. Yuan nodded in a dazed manner. Anyway, you can go take a seat. Since you're only a spirit king, you should take the seat that's the furthest away from the arena, which would be the seats at the end of the Colosseum. I understand. Thank you for the advice. Yuan bowed to the middle-aged man before walking into the Grand Colosseum. His demon-sealing aura is quite ridiculous for someone at his cultivation. Where did Yenhara pick up this monster? He would have been a valuable presence for the demon-sealing clan during the Dark Day, but alas, he was born in the wrong era. The middle-aged man mumbled to himself as he watched Yuan's figure disappear into the Colosseum. Grand Elder Sual, all of the participants have arrived. Someone appeared before the middle-aged man shortly after Yuan left. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. All right. The middle-aged man surnamed Su'a stood up and disappeared with the other person. Meanwhile, Yuan followed the other demon sealers to the spectators' area. Once he arrived, he took a seat all the way towards the end of the Colosseum. This should be good enough, hopefully. I wouldn't be able to move any further back even if I need to. Yuan sighed inwardly. Sometime later, Yuan noticed 3 figures approaching him from his right. Excuse me, do you mind if we sit here? One of them asked Yuan in a polite voice. No, go ahead. Thank you. Yuan then watched as these 3 individuals sat down, and he couldn't take his eyes off them for some reason. One of them noticed Yuan staring at them and smiled at him in a friendly manner. Sorry? That was rude of me. Yuan quickly apologized once he realized that had been staring at them. Don't worry, we're used to it as triplets. Triplets. Yuan muttered in a low voice. 2 of these 3 people were beautiful young ladies while the third person was a handsome young man, and while the 2 ladies looked almost identical to each other with the only difference being their hairstyle, the young man also looked very similar to the ladies. Is this your first time to the Grand Colosseum? The lady sitting beside Yuan suddenly asked him. Yes, it is. What about you guys? This is also our first time. We wanted to come last time, but we were only spirit kings at that time, so our family did not allow us to come here. Seeing you here as a spirit king really makes me envious, the lady said. And she continued, Oh, I am Lian Air. Am Lian Li. The lady sitting beside her sister, Lian Air, said. Lian-san, said the young man. Hello, I'm Yuan. Yuan introduced himself last. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 812. Published at 23rd of March 2022 5:30 and 11 seconds AM. Chapter 812. 812. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 812. Leader of the Demon Sealing Clan Yuan, huh? Hey Yuan, can I ask you a question? Lian Air suddenly asked. Go ahead. He nodded. Why are you wearing a mask? Yuan smiled behind his mask and said, I just enjoy wearing masks. It makes me feel safe for some reason. I see. Anyways, who are you cheering for this tournament? There will be 5 Master Demon Sealers participating today. I'm cheering for Senior Yen, he responded without hesitation. Senior Yen? She's a very powerful demon sealer, best of her generation, so I can see why you would cheer for her. However, I would cheer for Senior Su'a, who is the grandson of Grand Elder Su'a. Not only was he trained by one of the best demon sealers in the entire demon sealing clan, but rumor has it that he's been trained by the current leader as well. Grand Elder Su'a? Who is that? Yuan asked. Why, you don't know of the Grand Elders? They're the backbones of the demon sealing clan. Lian Li exclaimed in a shocked voice after hearing his words. Oh, I am relatively new to the demon sealing clan, so I am not aware of this stuff yet. I'd appreciate it if you could broaden my views. Yuan explained. How'd you get in here if you're new? The triplets looked at him with raised eyebrows. I was invited by Senior Yen. What? Is that the real reason you're cheering for her? Yuan nodded. Yes, but that's not the only reason. I don't know any of the other participants, so I can only cheer for her. Don't worry, you'll learn about the other participants very soon, Lian Air said. About 5 minutes later, the rowdy atmosphere suddenly came to a halt even though nothing seemed to have happened. However, a few moments later, Yuan could see 3 individuals appearing out of thin air, and they hovered above the Colosseum. When the spectators there saw these figures, they all stood up and bowed to them. Greetings, Leader Chen and Grand Elders. Leader? Yuan raised his eyebrows. He wondered if the current leader of the Demon Sealing clan was amongst these three individuals. That middle-aged man? Yuan also recognized the middle-aged man that teased him at the entrance. The handsome young man standing in the center of the group raised his hand and calmly waved it. Almost as though his words were backed by a magic force, everyone in the Colosseum sat down the next second. That's probably the leader of the Demon Sealing clan. Yuan thought to himself as he sat down. Once everyone was seated, these three people took a seat in a special area within the spectators' area. The handsome young man sat in the middle on a beautiful throne made out of some kind of red jade while the other two sat beside him. A few moments later, 5 more figures appeared on the platform in the middle of the Colosseum. Yenhara was amongst them. Greetings, Leader Chen and Grand Elders. The 5 participants bowed to them in a respectful manner. The handsome man, who looked only to be in his mid-20s, stood up from his throne and spoke in a calm voice. Welcome or welcome back to the Demon Sealing Tournament. I, the 8th leader of the Demon Sealing clan, Chen Chu, shall oversee this year's tournament alongside Grand Elder Suo of the Demon Sealing clan, and Grand Elder Tsun of the Demon Sealing Grotto. Our participants this year will be. Chen Chu purposefully did not finish his sentence to allow the participants to introduce themselves. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Suo Ringon of the Demon Sealing clan. A handsome young man stepped forward and introduced himself in a clear and confident voice. Jiang Zia of the Demon Sealing Grotto. A middle-aged man introduced himself next. Yenhara of the Demon Sealing clan. Yenhara stepped forward and gracefully bowed towards Chen Chu's direction. Zhu Ti of the Demon Sealing Grotto. An old man with a mixture of black and white hair said next. Xin Yu of the Demon Sealing Grotto. A beautiful woman with looks that almost rivaled Yenhara's appearance was the last to introduce herself. Once all participants introduced themselves, Chen Chu continued to speak. Today, these 5 Master Demon Sealers will participate in the Demon Sealing Tournament and compete against each other to become the next Supreme Demon Sealer. Within the Demon Sealing clan and the Demon Sealing Grotto that has over 500,000 members, there are less than 20 Supreme Demon Sealers combined, so you can imagine the prestige this title carries. However, only one of you will be able to become a Supreme Demon Sealer at the end of this tournament. Are you guys ready? Chen Chu asked the 5 participants as his sharp gaze stared at them. Yes. They all responded simultaneously. Then let's get this event started. Chen Chu said before sitting back on his throne. The moment Chen Chu sat down, Grand Elder Suo stood up and shouted, "Activate the formations." Once the formation experts heard Grand Elder Suo's voice, they immediately activated the formation, creating a powerful barrier around the platform, protecting the spectators and preventing the participants from leaving at the same time. The formations are activated. A voice resounded a few moments later. Upon hearing this, Chen Chu suddenly flicked his sleeves, and a black flag with a red symbol on a golden pole flew out of his sleeves and landed in the middle of the platform. This flag was wrapped and there appeared to be something restrained by the flag. When Yuan saw this flag, he felt a chill run down his spine, and his blood began boiling, almost as though it was reacting to the flag. The flag slowly unwrapped itself after landing, revealing to the spectators what it had been restricting: a demon. Yuan's eyes widened with shock when he saw the demon, as it did not give him the feeling of an artificial demon. The demon? It's a real demon? They're going to use a real demon for this event. This is insane. Yuan cried inwardly when he realized that they would be using a real demon for the tournament. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 813. Published at 24th of March 2022 5:30 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 813. 813. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 813. Real Demon. Emperor Yuan nearly jumped out of his seat when he realized that they were going to use a real demon instead of an artificial demon during this event. This is pure insanity. What if something goes wrong and the demon escapes? That would be catastrophic. He cried inwardly. However, the other people there had a different response. Wow, what a strong-looking demon. What rank do you think it is? Lian Er mumbled to herself, clearly more intrigued than terrified of its existence. It should be at least a demon general, right? Lian Li said. It's hard to tell since the demon has its aura restrained by those red chains, but I doubt it would be anything lesser than a demon general. After all, this is also an exam for these master demon sealers. Lien San responded. Once the demon was revealed, Qian Chu spoke in a clear voice. The first one to seal or kill this demon will become the next supreme demon sealer. I will remove the final seals on the demon in 10 seconds. The 5 participants quickly spread out and surrounded the demon. Even though they were competing against each other, they also knew how risky it was to try and fight the demon alone. Their best option at the moment would be to fight the demon together and slowly seal the demon, saving their energy before trying to get the last hit. While everyone waited for the 10 seconds to pass, the demon used this time to analyze its surroundings and situation. A bunch of lowly humans dare to use this one for entertainment? I will tear all of your limbs and drink your blood for this offense. The demon showed a malicious smile on its face, and it did not seem worried even in the slightest despite its seemingly hopeless situation. 10 seconds passed in the blink of an eye, and Qian Chu waved his sleeves when the 10 seconds were up, removing the red chains that had been suppressing the demon's power this entire time. The second the red chains disappeared, the demon released a deafening roar, and an immensely powerful aura erupted from its body, sweeping the place with intense killing intent that immediately shocked the spectators. When Yuan felt the killing intent for the first time, his body froze from shock, and he even lost his ability to breathe. What is this killing intent? What is this bloodthirsty aura? I have never experienced anything like this before. Yuan cried inwardly, and he could feel his instincts screaming at him to run away from the scene as soon as possible. It felt like he was before the Grim Reaper itself, and that death was right in front of him. However, he resisted such urges and even bit on his lips until it began bleeding, using pain to keep himself sane. Are you okay? Lien Er noticed Yuan's condition and asked him despite being affected by the demon's killing intent herself, as her whole body was shivering non-stop. Why yes. He responded in a mosquito-like voice. While under this intense stress that challenged him mentally and physically, pushing him to his limits, something began changing within Yuan. Meanwhile, the 5 participants immediately began their assault on the demon the second it was released from its bindings. They all released their demon sealing technique simultaneously at the demon, but the demon quickly reacted and used a movement technique to dodge it. However, it was unable to dodge all of the demon sealer's attack, only successfully dodging 3 of them. Demon sealing pulse. Yen Hara pushed her palm forward, sending a powerful wave of demon sealing aura at the demon, hitting it directly in its chest and blowing a hole in its body. The demon, of course, healed its wound almost immediately, and it didn't seem to be affected by the demon sealing aura. Yen Hara did not panic at the result and continued her assault on the demon with the other demon sealers. Before a minute has even passed, the 5 demon sealers managed to hit the demon with over a dozen demon sealing techniques, yet the demon continued to move around as though it was unaffected by demon sealing aura. This demon is definitely a demon emperor. Lien Er sighed. And she continued, if not for the leader's presence I would be too scared to even stay here and watch this. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. This is the prowess of a real demon emperor? Yuan thought to himself, still struggling to keep calm while enduring the demon's intense aura. Although the demon's killing intent was very powerful, it was actually not something Yuan couldn't handle. Instead, it was the demon's cultivation aura that Yuan couldn't endure. He was only a spirit lord while the demon was most likely above spirit sovereign. It was at a level that he didn't even have knowledge of, and it could be considered a miracle that he was remaining conscious even under such intense pressure. I am not the one entertaining you humans, it's the other way around. Continue to entertain me and I will allow you to live a little longer. The demon emperor laughed out loud as it continued to eat up demon sealing techniques without any fear in its eyes. A few minutes later, the demon emperor eventually got bored of being attacked, so it started attacking the demon sealers. Bloody impalement. The demon emperor's body suddenly shot out hundreds of arm-sized needles made out of its own blood like a grenade, sending these needles all over the place. The 5 demon sealers immediately halted their offense and went into defense, trying their best to deflect these needles, but they were not able to remain unscathed at the end, suffering above minor injuries. Is that all you've got? It appears to me that demon sealers have gotten much weaker since that bastard's death. The demon emperor laughed out loud. Shut up. The divine paragon was never confirmed dead. He's still missing. Yen Hara rebuked. Whatever makes you sleep at night, human? The demon emperor turned to look at her with a mocking grin on its face. The stench of demons, it never changes. Lian Er turned to look at Yuan when she heard him mumbling something. Huh? What did you just say? Although it might just be her, she felt that something was off about Yuan, like something about him had suddenly changed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 814. Published at 25th of March 2022 9:09 and 7 seconds AM. Chapter 814. 814. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 814. Demon Sealing Flag. Yuan turned to look at Lian Er and responded in a calm voice. It's nothing. Oh, can you tell me about the current leader of the Demon Sealing clan? The leader? Lian Er was slightly taken aback by his weird question that had nothing to do with the current event. Well, what do you want to know about him? Despite shivering all over her body, Lian Er wanted to remain respectful and decided to entertain him. Any information is fine. Just tell me everything you know about him. Yuan said. He's no longer trembling? Did he already adapt to the Demon Emperor's aura? No, that's not possible. He's only a spirit lord, and it has only been a few minutes since the event started. Just how is he doing it? Lian Li wondered to herself as she watched their conversation. Yuan, who had been terrified out of his mind just moments ago, suddenly appeared to be completely fine under the Demon Emperor's aura. Lian Li looked around her at the other spectators and sure enough, most of them were still trying to adapt to the Demon Emperor's ridiculous aura. So how is a spirit lord like Yuan completely fine? Lian San also noticed Yuan's odd state and thought to himself, he's not an ordinary demon sealer. No wonder why a spirit lord like him dared to come to this place. While her siblings wondered about Yuan's identity, Lian Er spoke, I don't actually know that much about the leader, so sorry in advance if I wasn't of any help. Anyways, the current leader is, as you already know, the 8th leader of the Demon Sealing clan. He's been with the Demon Sealing clan for over 100,000 years, and he took over the clan after the previous leader died in an accident. As for his qualifications, he has sealed over 20 demons and killed 7 demons, making him the most experienced demon sealer in the clan. He became a master demon sealer after spending just a little over 1,000 years in the Demon Sealing clan, a supreme demon sealer 5,000 years later, and he went on to become the leader of the clan about 10,000 years later, becoming the youngest leader of the Demon Sealing clan in history. Because of him, the declining Demon Sealing clan also regained some of its strength, so the Grand Elders rewarded him with the Demon Sealing flag, one of the most powerful demon sealing treasures out there that was once used by the Divine Paragon himself. Do you see that black and red flag by his side? That's the Demon Sealing flag, one of 3 demon sealing treasures that was once owned by the Divine Paragon. Rumor has it that the Divine Paragon has sealed over 1,000 demons with it. The Demon Sealing flag, huh? A mysterious smile appeared on Yuan's face as he looked at the majestic flag standing proudly beside Chen Chu. Where are the other 2 treasures? Yuan asked next. I'm not really sure since they always keep its whereabouts a secret, but rumor has it that the Demon Sealing Grotto has them. Lian Er said. The Demon Sealing Grotto? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Lian Er nodded. When some of the most trusted demon sealers left the Demon Sealing clan and created the Demon Sealing Grotto, they took with them one of the Divine Paragon's treasures. As for the second one, I was told that the Demon Sealing clan had to surrender it to the Demon Sealing Grotto during its lowest point when it was on the brink of destruction in order to save the clan. However, these are just rumors without any solid evidence to support it, so you shouldn't consider them to be true. Yuan released a low sigh after hearing such information. How the Demon Sealing clan has fallen? Although I didn't really care about the Demon Sealing clan even up to my death, it still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth knowing that something I personally built is slowly being destroyed. Yuan sighed inwardly. After being pressured past his limits by the Demon Emperor's aura, Yuan's memories as the Divine Paragon resurfaced, as did his personality as the Divine Paragon, so one can say that it was the Divine Paragon's consciousness that is currently awake in Yuan's body. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The Demon Sealing clan is no longer what it once was, so why did you decide to join the clan? You would have been better off joining the Demon Sealing Grotto that is much stronger nowadays. Yuan suddenly asked her. Lian Er smiled and quickly responded without hesitation. That's simple. Like most demon sealers nowadays, I joined the Demon Sealing clan not for its strength but for its legacy and history. The Demon Sealing clan is neither a faction nor a sect, so its prowess really doesn't matter to me. I am satisfied with being part of something that made a difference in the world. Without the Demon Sealing Clan and the Divine Paragon, I doubt we would be living so peacefully right now, much less using a Demon Emperor for entertainment. A gentle smile appeared behind his mask after hearing Lien Er's words, and he no longer asked her any more questions. Instead, he turned his attention to the Demon Emperor that appeared to be toying with the 5 Master Demon Sealers. They want win against this Demon Emperor. Yuan suddenly mumbled in a low voice that could only be heard by the triplets. What do you mean? They all turned to look at him with raised eyebrows. If they continue like this, they're all going to die, all 5 of them. Yuan said. How is that possible? All of the Demon Sealers in the arena are Master Demon Sealers. They're the best of the best within their rank. There's no way they'd all lose to a single demon, right? Lien Li asked. You guys are underestimating the prowess of a Demon Emperor. That thing is just toying with them right now. Once it gets serious, only the Grand Elders and the 8th leader can handle it. Yuan said to them. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 8:15. Published at 25th of March 2022 6:27 and 13 seconds p.m. Chapter 8:15. 815 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 8:15. Blood Sphere. We're underestimating the Demon Emperor? You sound like you have encountered one before. They looked at Yuan with raised eyebrows. I guess you can say that. A smile appeared behind his mask. Well, I believe in them. They will definitely defeat the demon, Lien Er said. However, just as she said those words, the Demon Emperor suddenly released a deafening roar that shook the entire Colosseum. Yuan and the triplets immediately turned to look at the scene, and the Demon Emperor had suddenly grown a pair of bloody wings. Furthermore, the Demon Emperor grew in size, becoming twice as large compared to just mere moments ago. Of course, its size was not the only thing that grew, as its killing intent and bloodthirsty aura also increased exponentially. This shocked not only the spectators but the fighters as well. None of them had expected the Demon Emperor to hide this much strength for so long. What's wrong, humans? Cold feet? How about I warm them up for you? The Demon Emperor suddenly flew into the sky and began channeling its energy at a rapid rate. When the fighters saw how much energy it was gathering, they immediately began preparing their defenses, as there was no way that they'd be able to stop the Demon Emperor in time. Hell rain. The Demon Emperor laughed out loud as it created countless weapons in the sky before sending them at the fighters. The 5 Demon Sealers in the arena immediately used their treasures to defend against the strike, and some of them even prepared their life-saving treasures just in case their defenses failed. The spectators gasped in shock as they watched countless weapons rain upon the 5 fighters, enveloping their entire figures. They all turned to look at Chen Chu, who had a calm expression on his face, and when they saw his expression, the spectators also calmed down. Sure enough, the fighters broke through the sea of weapons and flew into the air shortly after, but they appeared to be heavily injured, and their bodies were filled with holes and cuts. However, despite their seemingly awful conditions, these injuries were not even close to life-threatening for these powerful cultivators. Although they didn't have the demon's ridiculous ability to regenerate a whole body in seconds, they could easily heal these minor injuries with their spiritual energy. After recovering from the Demon Emperor's assault, the 5 fighters continued their assault on the demon. This time, the 5 Master Demon Sealers stopped trying to be selfish and started using all of their tricks and resources to deal with the Demon Emperor, allowing them to push it back. See, they are fine, Lien Er said after witnessing this. Yuan didn't respond and continued to watch them. However, he lost interest after a while and turned to look at Chen Chu, who was still sitting on his throne with a calm expression. There was just something about Chen Chu that didn't feel right to him, but he couldn't pinpoint the reason, mostly because he doesn't know Chen Chu very well. A few minutes later, when it seemed like the Master Demon Sealers were on the verge of sealing the Demon Emperor, the Demon Emperor began laughing. Truly pathetic. I gave you 10 whole minutes, yet this is the best you can do? The Demon Emperor mocked the fighters with a look of disdain on its face. Afterward, it raised its right hand into the air. What is it trying to do now? Yen Hara wondered to herself as she watched the Demon Emperor. This is her first time seeing such an ability, and it was giving her an ominous feeling. The other Master Demon Sealers felt the same way. We cannot let it finish whatever it is trying to do. Let's forget about the tournament and just kill it. Suo Ringan said to the other 4 fighters, who agreed with him. Once they were prepared, all 5 fighters surrounded the Demon Emperor before unleashing their strongest demon sealing technique. Too slow. The Demon Emperor suddenly shouted, and what appeared to be a ball of blood appeared on its palm. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Blood Sphere. The Demon Emperor muttered in a low voice, and before any of the demon sealers could even react, the ball of blood expanded in size countless times until it swallowed the entire arena and all of the fighters inside, blocking the spectators from seeing the situation. What the hell did it just do? Lian Li exclaimed in a puzzled voice. Blood Sphere. It's a containment technique that essentially creates an area that restricts anyone inside from leaving, and while inside this sphere, the demon's strength is increased several folds. This is a technique that can only be used by demon emperors, and they only use it when they are going to fight seriously. Yuan explained to them. And he continued, it's over for the demon sealers. They won't survive even a few minutes inside the blood sphere. No way. What about the leader? Shouldn't he stop the tournament and seal the demon before things get out of hand? Lian Air quickly became nervous for the 5 demon sealers. Who knows? Yuan shrugged. He then turned to look at the demon sealing flag that was still fluttering beside Chen Chu and narrowed his eyes. I will only be able to save one of you with this. The very next moment, the demon sealing flag that had been standing still this entire time suddenly began trembling. When Chen Chu noticed this anomaly, he turned to look at it with a puzzled gaze. However, before he could even do anything, the demon sealing flag suddenly flew out of his hands and towards the arena. It easily pierced a hole in the blood sphere and entered the demon emperor's territory. Chen Chu stood up with a look of surprise on his face after seeing this, and he immediately began looking around with a deep frown on his face. Oh, who is commanding my demon sealing flag without my permission? He roared inwardly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 8:16. Published at 26th of March 2022 7:16 and 47 seconds AM. Chapter 8:16. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 8:16. Eventually, after realizing that someone was using his demon sealing flag without permission, Chen Chu immediately began looking for the culprit. Chen Chu quickly noticed a particular figure amongst the spectators, as he was the only person in the entire Colosseum to be wearing a mask. However, when Chen Chu realized that Yuan was only a peak spirit lord, he immediately ruled Yuan out as the culprit. After all, there was no way that some random spirit lord would be able to command the demon sealing flag, much less control it so flawlessly. After he received the demon sealing flag, the time it took him to control the treasure was longer than the time it took him to become the 8th leader of the demon sealing clan since the moment he joined the clan. It took him almost 30,000 years of sweat and effort to control the demon sealing flag, which is twice as long as it took him to become the 8th leader, so it would only be natural for him to rule Yuan out as the culprit. If a mere spirit lord could control the demon sealing flag, it would make a mockery out of his 30,000 years of effort. Once Chen Chu ruled out Yuan as the culprit, he immediately returned to looking for the culprit, completely ignoring the situation between the demon emperor and the fighters. Meanwhile, inside the blood sphere, right after being trapped inside, Yenhara and the others tried to break the blood barrier but quickly realized that was impossible. None of you will be leaving my blood sphere alive today. The demon emperor laughed at their attempts to escape. Don't panic. The Grand Elders and the demon sealing clan's leader are still watching us. They won't let us die. Yenhara said to the others when she noticed the worried looks on their faces. Yenhara's words worked perfectly, as the others immediately calmed down after being reminded that they were not alone. You foolish demon. If we dared to release you, it means we are confident in sealing you away whenever we want. You demons might have ruled the 9 heavens before, but time has changed. Demons are no longer a threat, and cultivators nowadays are far stronger than before. You demons wouldn't survive this era even if the divine paragon isn't here. Suringan said out loud. However, instead of being provoked, the demon emperor laughed out loud and said, the world may be different nowadays, but you demon sealers are definitely much weaker than before. Also, you should stop taking others' credit. Suringan frowned and said, huh? The fuck are you talking about? How am I stealing others' credit? Do you really think humans defeated us demons back then? Negative. We didn't lose to humanity. We lost to a monster, the bane of demons, divine paragon. Although his demon sealing techniques are annoying and have the ability to seal us, the techniques alone would not be enough to defeat us. Sure, there were a few prominent human cultivators that managed to kill a couple of demons back then, but they were all insignificant when compared to the divine paragon's achievement. Alone, he slaughtered more demons than all of humanity combined. Therefore, you should stop acting like demons were defeated by humans. It was a monster that defeated us, a single one. The demon emperor's voice sounded a little shaky when speaking about the divine paragon. The demon sealers were left speechless by the demon emperor's words. And before they could respond, the demon emperor continued to speak with a mysterious smile on its face. However, now that the divine paragon is dead, it will only be a matter of time before demons rule the 9 heavens again. That will never happen. Demons are almost extinct. Even if you gathered all of the demons that are still alive in this world, the best you would be able to do is run. Jiang Xia exclaimed. The demon emperor started laughing again. Sure, there may only be a few demons left in this world, but let me ask you this. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Where do we demons come from? None of the demon sealers were able to answer the demon emperor's question, so they remained silent. I will give you a hint. The demonic realm. Are you saying that more demons will come from the demonic realm? That's impossible. The divine paragon sealed it. Yin Hara exclaimed. The keyword is sealed. The demon emperor smiled. Once a demon is sealed, do they remain sealed forever? No, they will eventually break out of their seal. Even if it might take them 10 million years to do so, the seal is not permanent. If you truly want to get rid of a demon, you must destroy us. As for the demonic realm, it was only sealed, not destroyed, and even the divine paragon was not able to destroy it, so there will be a day when that seal goes away, and when that happens, the 9 heavens will be ruled by demons once again. Upon hearing the demon emperor's words, Yin Hara refuted, even if the demonic realm is unsealed one day, it won't matter. The divine paragon killed most of the demons within the demonic realm before sealing it, and as far as I'm aware, you demons cannot procreate, so there won't be more demons as time passes. Were you inside the demonic realm with the divine paragon? Did you witness him killing the demons inside? I don't think so. And while it's true that we cannot reproduce, the demon emperor suddenly showed them a chilling smile. There are actually ways for us to increase our numbers. What? Yin Hara and the others were terrified to hear such information. If what the demon emperor said was true, it would be catastrophic for the 9 heavens once the demonic realm is unsealed. The divine paragon sealed the demonic realm many millions years ago, so the demons would have plenty of time to increase their numbers. Don't think too much about it. You'll all be dead very shortly after all. The demon emperor began approaching the 5 demon sealers with a bloodthirsty smile on its face. Chapter 8:17. Published at 26th of March 2022 7:16 and 48 seconds AM. Chapter 8:17. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 8:17. Bloody carnage. When the demon emperor began approaching them, Yin Hara and the other 4 demon sealings immediately readied their treasures to fight it. However, the demon emperor sealed their movements before they could even move with a sudden outburst of killing intent that surpassed anything it had released before. While killing intent normally paralyzes those affected by it most of the time, if strong enough, one could even kill another using purely just killing intent, as there's only so much stress and pressure one's heart could endure before something goes horribly wrong. When the 5 demon sealers experienced the demon emperor's intense killing intent, they all coughed up a mouthful of blood, and their instincts screamed for them to run away, but their bodies did not listen to their commands, almost as though their connections had been severed by their fear of the demon emperor. Today I shall let you experience despair and death, the demon emperor said to them before taking a deep breath. Bloody carnage. After uttering these chilling words, the demon emperor suddenly exploded into a bloody mess, shocking the demon sealers. However, the demon emperor did not regenerate like it normally would. Instead, it would form into a ball of blood that hovered in the air. Although the demon sealers had no idea what the demon emperor was trying to do, they had a very bad feeling about it. It was at this moment a hole opened up in the blood sphere, and a red and black flag flew inside, landing right beside Yin Hara. Wah! Before she could even wonder what the demon sealing flag was doing there, the demon sealing flag wrapped its flag around her body. What's going on? Yin Hara subconsciously began struggling to break free, but it was no use as the demon sealing flag had completely restrained her. The other 4 demon sealers were left dumbfounded by this sudden event, but they had no time to ponder about it as the demon emperor would strike a moment later. The ball of blood that had been hovering about 25 meters away from the demon sealers suddenly began expanding exponentially. In just mere seconds, the ball of blood had expanded over 10 times until it covered almost the entire arena. The demon sealers beside Yenhara immediately rushed to the end of the blood sphere and tried to break out. Whatever the demon emperor was up to, they did not want to be part of it, but the blood sphere was incredibly durable, and not even their strongest treasures could create a hole in the wall of blood that confined them. Leader, help us. Leader Qian. Jiang Zia, who belonged to the demon sealing grotto, screamed out loud for help. I quit. Get me out of here. If any of us dies here today, the demon sealing grotto will not let this go. Zhu Ti, who was also part of the demon sealing grotto, also screamed for Chen Chu's help. However, there was no response from the Grand Elders or Chen Chu. Outside the blood sphere, Elder Tsun looked at Chen Chu with a frown and spoke, "There's something wrong. We should stop this event and restrain the demon emperor before someone gets hurt or worse, die." Chen Chu, who was still looking for the person who used the demon sealing flag, stopped and looked at Elder Tsun with a calm yet sharp gaze. Of course we can stop the event. However, that would mean the demon sealing grotto is not confident in their own demon sealers. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The frown on Elder Sen's face grew deeper, and he responded, "And you believe that the demon sealing clan's demon sealer would be able to defeat that demon emperor?" Chen Chu smiled, "I wouldn't have allowed them to participate if I wasn't confident in their abilities." Elder Tsun continued to stare at Chen Chu for a few more seconds before turning to look at the blood sphere with a contemplating face. "I will stop the event," Chen Chu suddenly said. But as he began moving towards the blood sphere, Elder Tsun spoke, "Wait." And he continued, "Let's wait a little longer before we make any move. They have plenty of life-saving treasures, so they won't die even against a demon emperor." Chen Chu didn't say anything else and returned to his seat. Meanwhile, inside the blood sphere, the demon sealers were desperately crying for help. "Damn it! Why are none of my teleport talismans working?" Shen Yu of the demon sealing grotto exclaimed in a stressed tone when her talismans failed to activate no matter how much spiritual energy she poured into them. "It must be due to this damn thing containing us. We need to get out of here as soon as possible." Jiang Zia said. "Continue attacking the wall. I don't believe that we cannot break through." Suoringan shouted. "Fuck. Chen Chu. What the fuck are you doing? Hurry up and save us." Zhu Ti cursed out loud. "This must be a trap the demon sealing clan has set for us. I knew we couldn't trust these bastards." Shen Yu began shedding tears due to their situation. "That's bullshit. If this is a trap, then what am I doing here? There's also Yenhara. And the leader wouldn't do such a thing." Suoringan refuted her claims and defended Chen Chu's honor. After all, why would the demon sealing clan sacrifice 2 of their most talented master demon sealers just to kill 3 people from the demon sealing grotto? Although the demon sealing clan and the demon sealing grotto's relationship has worsened lately, it wasn't at the point where the leader of the demon sealing clan would sacrifice his own people to get back at the demon sealing grotto. At least it shouldn't. "I don't care what you say. The demon sealing grotto will..." Before Shen Yu could even finish her sentence, the ball of blood that was now the size of a small mountain suddenly exploded, sending millions of small but deadly projectiles all over the arena, with each of these projectiles deadly enough to kill a spirit king instantly. Chapter 818. Published at 27th of March 2022 8:09 and 10 seconds AM. Chapter 818. 818. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 818. Final nail in the coffin. When the demon emperor suddenly exploded with countless deadly projectiles, the 4 demon sealers could only rely on their life-saving treasures to save their lives. Fortunately for them, their life-saving treasures did not require manual activation, and it would activate automatically when it senses danger for the holder. Right before the projectiles would hit the demon sealers, their life-saving treasures activated, shielding them from the projectiles. Tens of thousands of tiny yet sharp needle-shaped projectiles clashed with the demon sealers' life-saving treasures. The demon sealers released a sigh of relief when they realized that their life-saving treasures had activated just in time, but when they noticed cracks appearing on their life-saving treasures, they would suck in a breath of cold air, and they prayed inwardly that the life-saving treasures would endure the abuse. "Ah, A painful cry suddenly resounded, causing the demon sealers to subconsciously look at the direction. To their shock, Zhu Ti's life-saving treasure had shattered, and his body was riddled with tiny holes. However, despite sustaining such a grievous injury, Zhu Ti's second life-saving treasure activated just in time, preventing him from instant death. Unfortunately, his second life-saving treasure would not last long, and the other demon sealers were too busy defending themselves to help him. In the end, Zhu Ti of the demon sealing grotto falls lifelessly onto the ground. Qianchu, I swear to God, you will pay for this. Jiang Zia released a deafening roar after witnessing his friend's death. As for Yen Hara, she was completely unharmed due to the demon sealing flag protecting her. In fact, the demon emperor's attacks ignored her completely. Because of the demon sealing flag's presence and divine aura, the demon emperor feared that it would only harm itself by touching it, as the projectiles were essentially its own body. Once the demon emperor's assault ended and there were no more projectiles to shoot, the projectiles that had been released began gathering again, quickly returning to being a ball of blood. Soon, the demon emperor launched a second wave of bloody carnage, destroying the demon sealers' exhausted life-saving treasures. Though just like Zhu Ti, they had more than one life-saving treasure, allowing them to survive once again. However, the demon emperor did not stop and continued to launch attacks on the demon sealers. The demon sealers were frustrated and filled with despair, but there was nothing they could do in this situation. They could barely protect their own lives, so it was impossible to try and stop the demon emperor. Even if they could attack the demon emperor, they were clearly not capable of defeating it. Therefore, these demon sealers could only wait for rescue while their life-saving treasures quickly disappear one after another. A minute later, Xinyu ran out of life-saving treasures after her fourth one broke. She turned to look at the other two with a pleading gaze. Please, help me. That was my last life-saving treasure. Sorry, but this is also my last one. Jiang Zia turned his head to avoid eye contact. Sua Ringan didn't even say anything and acted like he didn't hear her. Seeing this, Xinyu turned around and began banging on the bloody wall with all of her strength. Help me. Elder Tsin. Please. I don't want to die here. Unfortunately, before she could even finish her sentence, the demon emperor launched its fifth attack. Xinyu's body would fall onto the ground the next moment, her body filled with holes. Fuck. Why is this happening? Jiang Zia began cursing and crying at the same time. He could have never expected such a dreadful situation would occur when he signed up for this tournament. In fact, he didn't even know that he would be fighting a demon emperor until the moment it was revealed to him. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The last tournament only required the previous participants to fight a demon general, so why did they have to fight a demon emperor? It didn't make any sense. When Jiang Zia saw that the demon emperor was preparing for its next attack, he released a low sigh, as his last life-saving treasure was on the verge of being destroyed. His hope for survival quickly diminished until there was none left, and he turned to look at Sua Ringan with a calm expression. Congratulations. The demon sealing clan has just secured the final nail in its own coffin. Once the demon sealing grotto learns of our death, they will finally have a reason to remove the demon sealing clan once and for all. Sua Ringan did not respond to Jiang Zia's words, mostly because he was too focused on the demon emperor to actually hear Jiang Zia's words properly. The next moment, Jiang Zia would also fall to the demon emperor's attack when his final life-saving treasure was destroyed. Meanwhile, outside the blood sphere, Grand Elder Tsun could no longer ignore the unpleasant feeling in his guts and said, "That's it. Stop the event. Something is clearly wrong here." All right. Qianchu did not refuse. They stood up the next moment and flew into the arena together. When Grand Elder saw this, he followed them. The spectators then watched as Qianchu and the Grand Elders worked together to tear a hole in the blood sphere. While they worked on destroying the blood sphere, Qianchu would try to command the demon sealing flag to return to him, but alas, it would not listen to him for some reason. Although he did not show it on his face, Qianchu was incredibly frustrated by this. Scatter. Qianchu used his anger to strike the blood sphere, instantly tearing it wide open, allowing everyone to see the situation inside again. However, when the spectators saw the scene and the corpses inside the arena, they all gasped in shock, clearly filled with disbelief. Grand Elder Tsun immediately fumed with anger when he realized that all three members of the demon sealing grotto were dead, but he didn't start pointing fingers just yet, as there was a bigger problem at hand, the demon emperor. Once this is over, I demand an explanation, Qianchu. Grand Elder Tsun roared at him before flying straight at the Demon Emperor that was preparing its sixth strike. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 8:19. Published at 27th of March 2022 2:09 and 12 seconds p.m. Chapter 8:19. 819 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 8:19. Blood separation. Qianchu didn't show any reactions to Grand Elder Sen's words, and he focused on the Demon Emperor that was ready to release its next attack. Demon Sealing Formation. Grand Elder Su-Ah suddenly created a massive formation around the arena just in time, halting the Demon Emperor's attack for a brief moment. During this moment, Grand Elder Tsun retrieved his treasure that radiated with demon sealing aura. "Bastard! How dare you kill my people!" he shouted in anger as he unleashed a devastating attack that sliced the ball of blood in half. The next second, the Demon Emperor regenerated until it returned to its original state, and it lifted its head to look at Grand Elder Tsun and the others. "I don't know what went through your heads that made you believe it would be a good idea to set me free, but I must thank you for releasing me," the Demon Emperor said to them with a calm smile on its face. "If I restrained you once, I can do it again," Qianchu responded. "I'd like to see you try." The Demon Emperor released a powerful roar that shook the entire Colosseum, and its body began burning red, almost like it had just came out of a forge. Furthermore, its bloody wings made a complete transformation, turning into two large and long crystal shards. The Demon Emperor's bizarre transformation baffled the spectators, as they have never seen such a sight before. What in heaven's name is that appearance? I didn't know demons can do that." Lian Er muttered in a dazed voice, and her body that had recently calmed down started trembling in fear again. Yuan responded almost instantly, "Those two red shards in its back are its demon crystal." "What? Why are they so huge?" "They are usually only the size of a fist-sized rock," Lian Li exclaimed. "Demon emperors are almost an entirely different entity even when compared to other demons. I'm actually surprised that the 8th leader managed to restrain this demon with his power," Yuan said. In his mind, he was wondering if the Demon Emperor had allowed Qianchu to restrain it on purpose for some reason. "Pointless." Qianchu spoke in a low voice before retrieving a black sword with red engravings on its blade. Demon Sealing Strike. Qianchu's movements were so quick that nobody in the spectators had managed to see it with their eyes, and before anyone could even realize what had happened, the Demon Emperor's body disintegrated into countless pieces until there was nothing left. The people there were left speechless by how easily Qianchu had managed to dispose of the Demon Emperor. As expected of the Demon Sealing Clan's #1 genius, he killed the Demon Emperor so easily. The spectators began praising Qianchu afterward. "That was my first time seeing someone combine Demon Sealing Aura with Sword Chi so efficiently. It's so powerful." Lian Er's face showed admiration for Qianchu after witnessing his prowess. However, while everyone celebrated, Yuan shook his head inwardly. "What an idiot." He then stood up and began leaving the Colosseum. "Hey, where are you going?" Lian Er asked him when she noticed him leaving. "The event is done, so I have no reason to stay and I am a little hungry," Yuan said to her before disappearing from their sights. Grand Elder Tsun descended in front of the deceased Demon Sealer from the Demon Sealing Grotto after Qianchu dealt with the Demon Emperor, and he would stare at their lifeless bodies and their destroyed life-saving treasures with a dazed face. "If I had intervened sooner, perhaps you might still be alive. I should have listened to my guts earlier." It was at this moment the Demon Sealing Flag released Yenhara, who immediately began panicking. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. However, when she couldn't see the Demon Emperor anywhere and saw the situation, she sighed in relief. Thank you, leader, for saving my life," Yenhara said to him as she was shocked to see 3 corpses right beside her, mistaking Qianchu to be her savior, which was a logical thought, since he owned the Demon Sealing Flag that protected her. As for Sua Ringan, had also managed to survive because of the superior life-saving treasures his family and Grand Elder Sua gave him. Although the other fighters had no idea that they would be fighting a Demon Emperor, Sua Ringan, who was Grand Elder Sua's grandson, had such information, allowing him to prepare in advance. Qianchu didn't say anything and merely nodded his head. He suspected Yenhara to be the culprit at first, but after seeing her condition he ruled her out. "Who would dare steal my Demon Sealing Flag just to save her?" Qian Chu wondered to himself afterward. Once the place calmed down, Grand Elder Tsun turned to look at Qian Chu and said, "You will be hearing from the demon sealing grotto soon." He disappeared from the Colosseum shortly after, taking with him the 3 demon sealers' corpses. Meanwhile, a couple of miles away from the Grand Colosseum, Yuan stopped walking when he sensed something. "Come out. You may be able to fool those idiots, but I can smell your stench from miles away," Yuan said out loud despite it being empty there. There was no response. Yuan sighed and tried again. "I know that you're extremely vulnerable right now because you just used blood separation, but as you can see, I am only a spirit lord. You can easily kill me if you want to. I just want to talk." After a moment of silence, Yuan shook his head. "Guess I'll just go ahead and let the others know that you're still alive." He turned around and began walking back to the Colosseum. But before he could even take 3 steps, Yuan suddenly tilted his head to the right, avoiding a red projectile that shot right through where his head had just been. He turned around to see a blob of blood sitting not far away from him and he smiled. "Let's talk, shall we? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters." Chapter 820? Published at 29th of March 2022 5:18 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 820. 820 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 820. Do you still think I am dead? Talk? I have nothing to say to a human. The Demon Emperor's voice suddenly resounded inside Yuan's head. That's odd. You had plenty to say before when you were fighting the Demon Sealers. After a moment of silence, the Demon Emperor asked him in a puzzled voice, "You're not scared of me? You're just a mere spirit lord. I have killed tens of thousands of cultivators like you without breaking a sweat before. What are you thinking, approaching me? I may be weakened right now due to blood separation, but I still have more than enough strength to kill you even in my current state." The Demon Emperor was intrigued by Yuan's actions that did not make sense. "Like I said, I only wanted to talk. It's been a while since I last had a proper conversation with a demon like you," Yuan said. And he continued, "You know, when I first saw you in the arena, I had a feeling that I had seen you before. Now that I think about it, there was one demon back then that had the same characteristic as you. What was his name again? Demon Emperor Carnage?" The blob of blood visibly trembled after hearing its name come from Yuan's mouth. "Why? Who are you? Why do you know my demon name?" The Demon Emperor exclaimed in a dazed voice. It has been countless years since it last heard of its own demon name. Yuan didn't answer the Demon Emperor's question and continued to speak. "There were 9 of you in the beginning, but most of the Demon Emperors perished during that big fight between the Demon Sealing Clan and the Demon Clan. Near the end of that fight, 3 of you fled from the battlefield. The Demon Sealing Clan searched for you demons for thousands of years, but their efforts were unfruitful, and even the Divine Paragon was unable to find you. However, after millions of years, you suddenly show up in the most awkward fashion. I know you're stronger than the current leader of the Demon Sealing Clan, so I can only assume that you'd allowed yourself to be restrained for some reason. You even went through the efforts of faking your own death. What? A pretty good topic, right? Let's begin with where you demons had hid after fleeing from the fight." The Demon Emperor was left speechless by Yuan's story, and it could not comprehend where Yuan could have heard such a thing from, as such information should have disappeared with the passage of time. After all, millions of years have passed since the fight. Even if the Demon Sealing Clan had recorded the information somewhere, it would require a miracle for that record to last for so long. Where did you hear such a thing? It's clearly bullshit. The Demon Emperor decided to deny Yuan's claims. There's no point denying it, Demon Emperor Carnage. If you tell me where you hid, I will tell you how I learned such information, Yuan said. However, the Demon Emperor remained silent. Fine, if you don't want to answer this question, we can try another question, Yuan said, treating it almost like an interview of sorts. Are the other 2 Demon Emperors still alive? I know demons are truly immortal in the sense that they can live until the end of time if nobody tries to kill them, but nothing will last forever. Once again, the Demon Emperor remained quiet. Yuan didn't mind it and continued to ask the Demon Emperor questions. In the end, the Demon Emperor refused to answer any of his questions. Quite the uncooperative one, aren't you? Yuan chuckled casually, acting completely calm before the Demon Emperor that could attack him at any moment. Since you don't want to answer any of my questions, I will have to try and answer them by myself. After taking a deep breath, Yuan continued, after fleeing from that fight, you and the other two demon emperors probably fled to one of the forbidden zones since most cultivators avoid those places like it's a plague, and even peak cultivators don't dare to approach these zones due to its dangerous environment that can instantly kill even an immortal, but since you're demons you don't have to worry about dying, making the forbidden zones the best sanctuary for demons. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. If I have to make a gamble on whether there are currently more demons in these forbidden zones or not, I would bet all of my money on the former. In fact, I would even dare to say that most of the demons that still exist can be found in these forbidden zones. If the Demon Sealing clan or any family with sufficient powers find out, they will surely do whatever it takes to get rid of demons once and for all. Now let's talk about. Yuan suddenly halted his words and activated his movement technique, dodging a sudden sneak attack from the Demon Emperor. The blob of blood also started transforming, and the Demon Emperor returned to its original appearance the next moment. I don't know who you are or what you want, but I cannot allow you to live for another minute. The Demon Emperor glared at Yuan with serious killing intent in its gaze. Are you sure you want to do that? What will you do if the others notice your presence and find you? You'll definitely die this time, especially since you're in that pathetic state. Yuan asked. Even if I die today, I will make sure to take your life first. The Demon Emperor used Blood Sphere to contain Yuan the next moment. It was clearly prepared to sacrifice its life to make sure that Yuan wouldn't reveal the demon's sanctuary. Seeing the blood sphere around him, Yuan smiled behind his mask and spoke in a calm voice. To tell you the truth, I already knew that you demons were hiding within the forbidden zones. I was just too lazy to do anything about it, and my supply of demon cores was filled to the brim after that battle, so I didn't chase you lots. What? The Demon Emperor's eyes widened with shock after hearing Yuan's words, as he sounded like someone it knew and feared. Yuan removed his mask a moment later, revealing his handsome face and the cold smile on it. Do you still think I am dead? Yuan suddenly asked the Demon Emperor, who was completely frozen from shock after the reveal. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 821. Published at 29th of March 2022 5:18 and 4 seconds AM. Chapter 821. 821. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 821. What is the meaning of this? Why? I am possible. Demon Emperor Carnage immediately recognized Yuan's face, as it saw the same face during the war between demons and the Demon Sealing clan, and after almost dying to him, it fled to one of the forbidden lands within the 9 heavens. It was also confident that the Divine Paragon had long perished, hence why it finally decided to come out of hiding. However, to think that it encountered the Divine Paragon once again. The Demon Emperor eventually snapped out of its daze when it realized that the Divine Paragon looked slightly different than before. You may look like him, but you're not the Divine Paragon. I must say, you nearly gave me a heart attack. It has been tens of millions of years and many eras since the Divine Paragon's disappearance. No humans can live for that long. Even though cultivators can technically become immortal, they are not truly immortal. Only we demons are truly immortal. Yuan smiled at the Demon Emperor's words and said, "You're right. I perished. However, it was my own decision to disappear and now I have returned." That's fucking bullshit. As if I believe that. The Demon Emperor refused to believe that Yuan was really the Divine Paragon. Valley of Blood. Yuan suddenly muttered in a low voice. What? The Demon Emperor froze again. Corpse Mountain. Blood Monastery. Tomb of the Ancients. Yuan ignored the Demon Emperor and continued to name these weird titles one by one. How do you know these names? The Demon Emperor suddenly roared in a confused tone. After all, these names were all places within the demonic realm. No human should know of these places since no human has ever entered that place and managed to make it back out alive, except for one exception, the Divine Paragon. Isn't it obvious? I learned of these places when I went inside the demonic realm. It was a surprise when I first went there. If the rest of the world knew what I saw inside, they would be shocked. I still don't believe it. For all I know, the Divine Paragon could have revealed information about the demonic realm to the world after he sealed it. It's unfortunate that you don't believe me. If I could use my signature demon sealing technique to prove my identity, I would do it. However, my body and its cultivation would not be able to handle such a technique. Anyways, since you revealed yourself by using such a powerful technique, the others are alerted of your presence, and it will only be a matter of time before they arrive and dispose of you. While you are most certainly strong enough to handle the demon sealing clan in their current state, you're in no condition to do anything right now because of blood separation. Therefore, I shall give you a proposal. You can either let the demon sealing clan deal with you or you can die in my hands. Which do you prefer? I promise that it will be a swift death if you choose the latter. Or I can kill you and leave this place before they arrive. The demon emperor instantly jumped into action and flew towards Yuan. Without even trying to dodge, Yuan casually pointed at the demon emperor and muttered in a low voice, "Demon sealing zone." Bang! The demon emperor slammed into the barrier that suddenly restrained it. To tell you the truth, in my current condition, I would have no chance to defeat you before you used blood separation, so I must thank you for giving me this chance. Once I take care of you, I will find the rest of the stray demons and take care of them as well, eventually. Damn you, divine paragon. Just like before, you appear out of the blue to threaten our existence. Unfortunately for you, things will be different this time. You may have defeated me today, but you will not defeat the demon clan. Soon, you will know the true power of demons when a real ancient steps foot into this pathetic world. The demon emperor began laughing in a crazed manner. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan frowned slightly after hearing the demon emperor's words. He isn't normally bothered by demons' provocation, but it was different this time. An ancient, huh? I have never tasted a demon core belonging to an ancient before, so this will be my first. Ah, that's right. You will tremble before the ancient. The demon emperor continued to laugh even though it knew it was moments away from being killed by the divine paragon. However, to the demon emperor's absolute surprise, Yuan suddenly removed the demon sealing zone. What is the meaning of this? It looked at him with a look of disbelief. Ichem? Nothing much. I have always wanted to fight an ancient, so I am going to let you go, as that would ensure I get to fight one in the future. Are you serious? You're willing to put the entire 9 heavens and every human in it at risk because of such a selfish reason? You're definitely not the divine paragon I know. Yuan showed a mysterious smile and said, "Then you don't really know me, but this is a statement that can be said for pretty much everyone." He then placed the mask back on his face, turned around and walked out of the blood sphere, almost as though the blood wall didn't exist. Once Yuan was gone, the demon emperor no longer lingered and deactivated the blood sphere and used what little power it had left to run away from the scene right before the demon sealers arrived. Where's the demon? I swear I felt its presence coming from this location. A bunch of demon sealers including Grand Elder Su'a showed up to the scene mere moments after the demon emperor's departure. As for Qian Chu, headlong left the place, so he did not sense the demon emperor's presence. Meanwhile, Yuan returned to the demon sealing grand library, where he would remove his mask and stand before his statue, quietly staring at it for a long period of time, which puzzled the other demon sealers there that were wondering what he was doing. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 822. Published at 29th of March 2022 9:09 and 5 seconds AM. Chapter 822. 822. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 822. A nasty individual because you allowed the demon emperor to get away. Who knows how many innocent lives would be lost now? And you did this all for what? To fight this ancient thing? Yuan muttered in a low voice as he stared at the divine paragon statue. In his eyes, the statue suddenly turned into the real divine paragon, and he spoke, "Ancients are the peak of the demon race. Above demon emperors are ancient demons, but they are not true ancients. Ancients are the first demons to have ever existed, and they all possess something all lower demons desire: complete control over their emotions. In other words, they don't have these random destructive urges that force them to go crazy just like us humans. A demon that can control their emotions and thoughts. They are so powerful that a single one of them could probably destroy the entire 9 heavens." Yuan frowned and said, "And you purposefully allowed the demon emperor to get away because you want to fight one of these ancients? This is insanity and incredibly selfish. I didn't know you were such a selfish individual until now." The divine paragon smiled. "What's wrong with being selfish? Everyone is selfish in their own ways and my selfishness is also yours. Don't forget that we are one and the same. I don't get it. You were the first person to start hunting demons, yet you allowed a dangerous demon like the Demon Emperor to get away today. What is your motive? Why did you start the Demon Sealing clan and start hunting demons in the first place? The Divine Paragon smiled at Yuan's question and said, if you want the answers, search for them in your memories. Defeat the 4th floor of the Demon Sealing Pagoda and you will have your answers. One more thing. The 8th leader of the Demon Sealing clan, he's a nasty individual. He intended on letting everyone at the tournament die today. I highly recommend that you stay away from him until you're strong enough to confront him, and no matter what you do not reveal your true identity. I have a good feeling that he will do whatever it takes to remain as the leader of the Demon Sealing clan, so anything that threatens his position will be disposed of. The Divine Paragon returned to being a statue the next moment. Yuan sighed. There was nothing he could do right now besides to continue his training. Now that there is a Demon Emperor and 2 more potential Demon Emperors on the loose somewhere in the 9 heavens, he wants to be prepared before encountering them. Yuan went to the training area shortly after and began training his Demon Sealing techniques. Now that he's completely mastered the Demon Sealing strike, he will be moving on to other Demon Sealing techniques. The following day, Yenhara showed up at the training area to look for Yuan. Once she found him training alone, she approached him with a smile on her face. Hey! Yuan stopped training and turned to look at her. Senior Yen. How are you feeling? Yuan bowed to her before asking. Alive, she said. And she continued, I'm sorry that you had to witness such a pathetic fight. I was completely useless in that fight. If not for the leader, I would have also died to the Demon Emperor. Yuan shook his head. Don't feel bad, senior. You went up against a Demon Emperor and survived. Not many people could say the same. I'm not sure if that makes me feel any better since I am only alive because of Leader Chen, but thank you. Yenhara showed a bittersweet smile. Anyways, I have scheduled your next examination. It will be in 5 days. If you cannot make it, I can reschedule it for you. I will make it. Yuan nodded. By the way, who became the next Supreme Demon Sealer? He then asked her. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yenhara showed a bittersweet smile before responding. Although nobody managed to kill or seal the Demon Emperor, they decided to give it to Sua Ringan because his overall performance was better. Some people also say it's because of his background as Grand Elder Sua's grandson that gave him an advantage, but if he doesn't qualify to become a Supreme Demon Sealer, I also don't qualify. However, I won't let this defeat discourage me. I will definitely win the next tournament and become a Supreme Demon Sealer. Yenhara spoke with her fist held tightly. I have faith in you. Yuan said. You cheeky little thing. I should be the one saying such words to you. Anyways, I won't stay here for long since I still have some important business to attend to. Before I leave, I should warn you that things might get a little crazy for a bit, so you should watch out. What do you mean? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Yenhara looked around to make sure nobody was near them, and then she said in a low voice, because of what happened to the Demon Sealing Grotto's 3 Demon Sealers, the Demon Sealing clan is anticipating some kind of altercation with them soon, which might lead to some fights between the Demon Sealers from each party, so you should be careful. What makes the situation even worse is that only the Demon Sealers from the Demon Sealing Grotto had died during the tournament, so there are people speculating that it was a trap set up by the Demon Sealing clan to lower the Demon Sealing Grotto's power. After all, losing 3 Master Demon Sealers in one day is very damaging even to a powerful place like the Demon Sealing Grotto. If any Demon Sealers from the Demon Sealing Grotto try to provoke you, ignore them. If they try to start a fight, try your best to ignore them. We don't need any more drama now. Yuan nodded. I understand. Good. If anything happens within the Grand Library, you can contact me through my communication jade slip. If you are outside. Well, good luck. Yenhara left the scene shortly after warning Yuan about potential disputes between the Demon Sealing clan and the Demon Sealing Grotto in the future. Although everything appeared to be normal now, it was only because not everybody had heard of the situation yet, which would undoubtedly change within the next few days. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 823. Published at 31st of March 2022 7:40 and 1 second AM Chapter 823. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. After Yenhara left, Yuan returned to training his demon sealing techniques, increasing mini mastery levels for a couple of the weaker techniques, but he could not stop thinking about the Demon Emperor and the Divine Paragon's reason for letting it escape. Even though he knew it was because the Divine Paragon wanted to fight the Ancient, he still couldn't fathom such a reasoning. Why would the Divine Paragon risk having the demons rule the 9 heavens again just so he could have a fight with an Ancient? Just because he is a selfish person who doesn't care about the lives of others? But the Divine Paragon wouldn't have started hunting demons in the first place if that was the case. It didn't make sense to Yuan no matter how much he pondered about it. I will have my answers once I defeat the 4th floor of the Demon Sealing Pagoda, but that is easier said than done. Yuan sighed inwardly. Even with his ridiculous talent, such a goal seemed unfathomably distant. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do for now except to practice. Yuan would increase the mastery level of multiple demon sealing techniques on that day, but they were all low-ranking techniques. He wanted to completely master all the weaker techniques before focusing on the stronger ones. At the end of the day, Yuan began making his way outside the Grand Library, but he stopped right before the exit, mostly because he was forced to stop, as there was a crowd of people that blocked the path there. What's going on? Yuan asked one of the people closest to him. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but there are people fighting at the entrance, blocking everyone. Yuan raised his eyebrows. Since he couldn't see the situation with his bare eyes, he decided to use his divine sense to look at the situation, and sure enough he could see a large group of people blocking the path. There appeared to be 2 sides in this large group. One of them belonged to the Demon Sealing clan while the other group was from the Demon Sealing Grotto. Because of your Demon Sealing clan's leader's incompetence, 3 of our master demon sealers are dead. Your Grand Elder was there as well. You cannot put all the blame on us. Screw you. We all know the tournament was a malicious plot by the Demon Sealing clan to hurt our clan. Why else would they suddenly use a Demon Emperor when all previous tournaments used demon generals and lower-ranking demons? Once Yuan overheard these people arguing with each other, he immediately understood the context and why they were fighting. Soon, the verbal argument between these 2 groups escalated, turning into a full fight. The spectators there quickly scattered to give them room. Unfortunately, most of the lecturers in the Grand Library were absent due to the same important meeting Yenhara was attending, so there was basically nobody to stop the fighting between these 2 groups. Furthermore, the fight grew bigger because the other demon sealers would join in to assist their own companions. Very soon, half of the people within the Grand Library were fighting. Not wanting to participate in the fight, mostly because he was the weakest cultivator in this place, Yuan went to Yenhara's room and locked himself inside. Of course, he had the option to log off, or so he thought. Hopefully, the fighting doesn't last for too long. Yuan sighed as he took a seat in the empty room. After many minutes of pure silence, a voice suddenly resounded. Young master. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Feng Yuxiang appeared before him a moment later with a perplexed look on her face. Feng? What's up? Yuan raised his eyebrows in a puzzling manner when he saw her expression. Young master. I wanted to wait until you are willing to tell us by yourself, but I simply cannot endure my curiosity any longer, and I was hoping you could answer a few of my questions. Of course you can refuse. What questions? Yuan asked. Oh, there are times when you feel like an entirely different person. At first, I thought it was only my imagination, but after witnessing what happened today, it appears to me that you have a second personality in you. Feng Yuxiang expressed her worries. Oh. Yuan immediately realized what Feng Yuxiang was talking about. In fact, had completely forgotten that Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying were with him this entire time, so they saw everything when he turned into the Divine Paragon. Yuan quickly began trying to think of an excuse, but when nothing came up, he decided to tell them the truth. This is going to make me sound crazy, but it appears that I am the reincarnation of the Divine Paragon. Yuan revealed the truth to them for the first time. Feng Yuxiang's eyes widened, and she remained silent for the next few minutes, seemingly unable to find the proper words to respond to Yuan's claims. Seeing Feng Yuxiang's reaction, Yuan quickly said, Just kidding. You see, it's okay, young master. I believe you. Feng Yuxiang suddenly interrupted. And she continued, I am just surprised, that's all. In case you forgot, I am a phoenix and we symbolize immortality and resurrection, which is just another word for reincarnation. If I do not believe in reincarnation, I might as well stop being a phoenix. However, I must admit, I have never actually witnessed or experienced reincarnation for myself. Can you tell me why you believe that you are the reincarnation of the divine paragon, young master? You may look exactly like him, but that's not really concrete proof. Yuan nodded and he said, sit down. This might be a long story. Once Feng Yuxiang sat beside him, Yuan began explaining about his situation to her. It all started with this weird dream, where I met someone who looked exactly like me, but he was much older. Chapter 824. Published at 31st of March 2022 10:40 and 41 seconds AM. Chapter 824. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. After spending many minutes explaining his situation to Feng Yuxiang, Yuan patiently waited for her response. Feng Yuxiang spoke after digesting all of the information. I understand why you think you are the reincarnation of the divine paragon now, but there's something I don't understand. You said there is someone besides the divine paragon who appears in your dreams? Yuan nodded, yes, and he said that I had reincarnated more than once. That is possible, right? As long as one's soul isn't destroyed, they should be able to reincarnate continuously, but like ID already said, I am not really experienced in this matter. Also, while there have been many people in the past that claim to have memories of their past lives, they have never been able to prove it properly. Of course, that is not to say I don't believe you, but I think we should investigate your situation further before we come to any conclusions. Feng Yuxiang said. What do you suggest I do? First of all, we need to make sure that the memories in your head are real. After all, there are techniques out there that can feed into or alter one's memories, so there is a chance that something like that happened to you. How can I tell if my memories are real or fake? Yuan raised his eyebrows. There are treasures out there that can help you, but it's not going to be cheap, and even if we have enough money, I doubt we'll be able to find it in this world. So we just need to go to a higher heaven, right? I have been thinking about challenging the stairway to heaven again since I am already reaching the limits of this world. Yuan said. When do you intend on leaving? I want to leave after Min Li finishes her disciple examination, he said. That quickly? You don't want to explore this world anymore? Feng Yuxiang raised her eyebrows. Well, I have a lot of questions that I want to be answered, but I won't find the answers in the spirit heaven, so there's really no reason for me to stay there any longer. Fair enough. Feng Yuxiang didn't say anything else. However, after a moment of silence, she spoke again. By the way, young master, if your memories turn out to be true, that you're truly the reincarnation of the divine paragon, what are you going to do? Nothing. I'm going to continue living my life as it is. The divine paragon's life ended with him. I have no reason to continue his legacy, nor do I want to. And even if I wanted to continue his legacy, I don't even know anything about him. I see. After another moment of silence, Feng Yuxiang said, Young master, once we return to spirit heaven, let's go visit the House of Riches to see if they have the treasure required for your memories. Sure. Yuan nodded. They still have 2 weeks until Min Li's disciple examination, anyway. About 3 hours later, Yuan was finally able to log off the game. You're late today. Dinner just ended. Chu Liuxiang said to him after he returned to the real world. Sorry, but I wasn't able to log off due to some unexpected circumstances. Tell me about it if you want to. Yuan nodded and told her about the situation between the Demon Sealing clan and the Demon Sealing Grotto before they went to sleep. Meanwhile, somewhere in spirit heaven, Min Li was wandering the wilderness in search of magical beasts to hunt. After spending many minutes searching, Min Li finally encountered a first-level spirit warrior magical beast. However, before she could even get close to the magical beast, a powerful pressure appeared, instantly flattening the magical beast. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The excitement on Min Li's face immediately disappeared when she saw this, and she turned around to look at the small figure following her. How am I supposed to train if you keep killing them before I can even do anything? This is the 3rd time already. Do you hold some kind of grudge against me? Min Li asked Xiao Hua. Brother Yuan told me to keep you safe. Xiao Hua said in a calm voice. I know he told you that, but I don't think he said anything about preventing me from training. I can handle myself, so can you just let me train properly, please? I will let you know when I need help. After a moment of silence, Xiao Hua quietly nodded her head. Thank you. Min Li returned to looking for magical beasts shortly after. Once she found one, she turned to glare at Xiao Hua to make sure she didn't forget about their agreement. Sometime later she approached the magical beast and started fighting it while Xiaohua watched from a distance. Seeing that she could finally have some practice, Minli fought the magical beast to the best of her abilities, and after many minutes of going back and forth, the magical beast was slain by her. After her first kill, Minli would spend the rest of the night hunting magical beasts, acquiring 2 monster cores that she would use for her cultivation once she went to the cultivator's haven in the nearest city. The following day Yuan logged into Cultivation Online after breakfast. Who's there? The moment Yuan appeared in Cultivation Online, he was greeted by a sword that was only inches away from his neck. It's me. Yuan responded in a nervous voice. Little founder? You scared me just now. How did you come inside without making a sound? Yenhara retrieved her sword after realizing that it was him. Well, but before Yuan could even explain, Yenhara continued, anyways, are you okay? I hope you didn't participate in yesterday's fight. Yes, I am fine. I hid in here while everyone else fought. He nodded. What happened after the fight? He then asked. Yenhara sighed. Many demon sealers from both sides were injured and someone from our side even died. In fact, the higher-ups have decided to close the Grand Library for all demon sealers until further notice. Chapter 825. Published at 1st of April 2022 3:27 and 7 seconds AM. Chapter 825. 825. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 825. Pill of Truth. What? The Grand Library will be closed. What about the examination? Will it be cancelled as well? Yuan asked after learning about the situation. No, the examination will continue as scheduled. Although the Grand Library is closed as official lecturers, we can still enter, and we can bring other demon sealers into the Grand Library as long as you're not alone. So I can still learn demon sealing techniques as long as I am with you? Yes. Seeing Yenhara nod, Yuan sighed in relief. However, I will be very busy for a while, so my time in the Grand Library will be very limited. Yenhara warned him a moment later. I understand. After speaking with Yenhara, Yuan decided to leave the Grand Library and return to Spirit Heaven. But before he left, Yenhara asked him, by the way, where are you coming to the Grand Library from? Myriad of Techniques? Yuan responded in a questioning tone. I mean, where in the 9 heavens? Oh, I am currently in Spirit Heaven. What? Spirit Heaven? Yenhara's eyes widened with surprise. It was quite shocking for someone of Yuan's talent to be in Spirit Heaven. In fact, Yenhara expected Yuan to come from no lower than the 5th heaven, so one can imagine her surprise after learning the truth. If only she knew that had actually originated from the lower heavens. What about you, senior? Where are you from? Yuan broke the silence and asked her. I'm currently in the 7th heaven. She responded in a dazed voice. 7th heaven. It'll be a while before we can see each other outside of this place. Fortunately, we can see each other in this place. You don't need to reach the 7th heaven. As long as you reach the 6th heaven, I will be able to come to you. Yenhara said. Are you sure? Won't it be expensive to go to a lower world? That is only the case if I want to go below the 6th heaven. Things work differently once you enter the 6th heaven. The lower heaven and Spirit Heaven are relatively the same. We call these 2 worlds the mortal realm. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th heaven aren't that much different from each other since their cultivators are all between Spirit King and Spirit Sovereigns, with the limit being Spirit Sovereigns. Once you reach the 6th heaven, that is where things change drastically, as there is no longer a limit to one's cultivation level, so it won't require as many resources for me to go down there. I see. Thank you for the explanation. I will let you know when I reach the 6th heaven. Yuan said to her afterward. Good luck. Yenhara nodded. Once Yuan left the Grand Library, Yenhara mumbled to herself, even with his talents, it'll probably take him a couple hundred years before he can reach the 6th heaven. Fortunately for her, who still has tens of thousands of years of longevity, a few hundred years won't mean too much to her, and if she enters seclusion, that amount of time might pass in a flash. After leaving the Grand Library, Yuan left the myriad of techniques and started making his way towards the House of Riches. A few hours later, he was standing before the auction house once again. I think it would make things smoother if I enter with you, young master. Feng Yuxiang said before appearing beside him. Yuan nodded without saying anything since he knew that she was an expert in these situations. The 2 of them approached the front door shortly after. Welcome to the House of Riches. How may I assist you too? A worker asked them when they entered the building. Since the auction house wasn't open for business, there was nobody outside, but guests could still go there to sell their treasures there. We're looking for a specific treasure, and we want the auction house to help us find it. Feng Yuxiang said. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The worker looked a little dazed after hearing Feng Yuxiang's request. After snapping out of it, he spoke, I am sorry, but we don't offer that kind of service here. Right now, we're only buying treasures and accepting reservations for future auctions. Before the worker could even finish his sentence, a figure suddenly appeared behind him and pushed him to the side. Welcome back to our humble place, esteemed guest. Please ignore what this newcomer just said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. We'll be more than happy to assist you in finding your treasure. The person who just showed up said to them. Of course, this person recognized Feng Yuxiang from the Flood Dragon scale auction. The male worker that had been interrupted suddenly said with a baffled look on his face, Cut the crap. You're the one who doesn't know what you're talking about. I have worked here way before you started. The female worker frowned and said, And today will be your last day here if you continue to interrupt us. They are esteemed guests of the House of Riches, and they're friends of Senior Gu. The male worker's face immediately paled, and he turned to look at Feng Yuxiang and Yuan before lowering his head. I am sorry, can we just get this over with? Feng Yuxiang said with a nonchalant expression. Of course, please follow me. Senior Gu is absent today, so I will take care of you too. The female worker then said. Prepare the best tea for our guests. The female worker said to the male worker. Right away. Feng Yuxiang and Yuan proceeded to follow the female worker to the best guest room in the building. Once they sat down, the female worker asked them, What kind of treasure are you looking for, esteemed guests? We're looking for the Pill of Truth. Do you know of it? Feng Yuxiang asked the worker, but she didn't need a response to know the answer, as the worker had a puzzled face after hearing the pill. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.